Conversations.
You go into a psychiatric hospital.
Spend an hour in the life of someone else.
Because you can no longer function.
Someone who's seen and done remarkable things.
Who are all these crazy people? And it takes a while to realise you're one of them. Just because people are not completely sane doesn't mean they can't help you.
Hear the latest Conversations, weekday mornings from 11 on ABC Radio, and follow on the ABC Listen app or wherever you get your podcasts.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
The only game outside Victoria this round brings us to the Adelaide Oval as the Crows host the Lions in round 16 action with 25,000 fans allowed in. Adelaide are hoping their incredible list of upsets at home this season will continue, whilst Brisbane will look to solidify their top 4 spot after winning 9 of its past 10 games. There is a late change. Lachie Neale did not make the flight over from Victoria after a calf issue during the week, so Reece Matheson will come in for the Brisbane Lions. No changes for the Adelaide Crows, so Rory Sloane will play despite suffering a ruptured finger tendon. Aaron Bryan's with you. Alongside me as always at the Adelaide Oval in season 2021 is Neil Cross. Welcome, Crossy.
Aaron, good to be here. Interesting afternoon ahead of us for sure. We've seen already that what's on paper doesn't sometimes count for much, and the GWS game with Melbourne. Will it be the same? We're going to see a Brisbane side that would be just about unbackable against the Crows this afternoon. But as you mentioned, the Crows have a bit of form against the top sides.
Your experts this afternoon. Firstly, Carlton Premiership player Scott Camporelli. Welcome, Campo.
Thanks, Aaron. Crossy, Jamo. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting day. I must admit, I'm a little nervous around what might happen today. I just think Brisbane have won 9 out of their last 10. They only lost to Melbourne. They're up and going now. Obviously, Lachie Neale's a bit of a blow, but they haven't had him for majority of the year anyway because he's had some injuries. But I'm just worried about if they can generate a lot of inside 50s today. That tall timber forward just might stretch Adelaide's defence.
Alongside Scott Camporelli, Adelaide Premiership player Rod Jamieson. Welcome, Jamo.
Aaron, Neil, Crossy. Oh, there's 2 of you there. And Campo.
Not a great start, Jamo.
Oh, it's wobbly. Just get it out of the way in the warm-up. Yeah, look, it will be. I think, look, they're a class side, aren't they? And certainly to have the goal-scoring ability that Brisbane do, the way they move the football. Jared Lyons as well, back here against his old club. He's playing some really good football at the moment. And their back line is really dour and strong. And Harris Andrews leads that way too. Daniel Richards getting a bit more of the football too. Grant Birchall, just the experience. So it'll be another test for Adelaide. I'm looking to see polish and composure. And how they move the football. We saw in the second quarter last week Carlton go to work and kick 8 goals. You just can't do that, and that's happening too regularly up against Adelaide.
So the Crows have upset Geelong and Melbourne previously here at this ground as part of this season. How do they upset the Brisbane Lions today? Is there anything that Brisbane don't do well that they can capitalise on?
Well, you don't sit in the top 4 and win 9 of your last game if you're not a pretty complete side, but for me, the recipe is there. What they did to Geelong and what they did to Melbourne was able to restrict any of the uncontested possession. And that's when Adelaide have been really poor throughout the years. When they lose that battle through there, they've been pretty good around the contest and they've been pretty good with their pressure for most of the time. But when that drops away, and particularly the uncontested marks, Jamo, that causes real issues for Adelaide. Yeah. I'm not sure what they're doing in terms of that. It's been a consistent theme for mine, and when they sit off and they allow teams time and space just to move the ball around and shift the game off the line, Brisbane are the second best team in the competition at doing that, and they're the number 1 inside 50 team. So if you're going to fraught with that today, it's going to be trouble.
The text line, if you'd like to get in touch with us this afternoon, is 0437 774 774. That's 0437 774 774. If you're just joining us on ABC Radio, ABC News Radio and ABC Sport Digital, earlier today the Giants defeated Melbourne by 9 points to move into the top 8. And Melbourne could fall out of top spot or drop down to second if the Western Bulldogs can defeat North Melbourne tomorrow. But it is the Adelaide Crows up against the Brisbane Lions here at the Adelaide Oval. 25,000 allowed in the house. And one of them down on the boundary is Jack Burketta. Welcome, Jack.
Good afternoon, Aaron. I do feel very fortunate to be one of the 25,000 here today, and thankfully it's blue skies over Adelaide Oval as we speak, but there are a few spots of rain on the radar, so we are expecting a couple of showers. The surface is still pretty slippery out there after a shower about an hour before this game. There's a healthy breeze blowing towards the northern end. That's the end that Brisbane will be kicking with in this first term. Looking at the two benches for the Crows, we've got Jake Kelly, Paul Seedsman, Harry Schonberg, Jimmy Rowe. Jackson Haitley is the medical sub. For Brisbane, we've got Archie, Berry, Coleman, Matheson, Jackson Pryor is their medical sub.
So it's the 15th place Adelaide Crows up against the Brisbane Lions team, who is well and truly in top-tier form. Will we see another upset, or could we see an ugly afternoon at the Adelaide Oval? To kick things off on Grandstand AFL, here's Neil Cross.
Well, we get some early indications. Adelaide out of the middle, not great. Brisbane we expect to be very good. Let's see what happens as O'Brien goes against big McInerney for Brisbane, and it's soccer towards Brisbane's or Adelaide's end of the ground, or the centre square at least. On the ground was Laird, just handballed it forward. They've got it to half forward. Off the ground went Keys, inside forward 50. McInerney follows up, and McCluggage took a hand pass, dropped it. Surely yes, said the umpire. Great run down by McHenry, and right at the top of the 50 he's going to take the free kick.
Good pressure. It's what's been lacking in the forward line the last couple of weeks.
And there's the lead, and Robinson gets across, knocks it down for Adelaide, follows up on the ground, releases a hand pass into the back pocket. Starcevic's kick was blocked, smothered over the boundary line. Left forward pocket for Adelaide, and we'll get the throw in.
Nick Murray coming in, he's got a big job. Joe Danaher.
So the Crows to the southern end. Walker in front position, taps it down, tries to rove his own ball. Kick was smothered. Ricochets towards the boundary line. Robertson tackled over by McHenry. Another boundary throw in to come. So 3 changes heading into this contest for the Adelaide Crows, as we just touched on. Luke Pedler, the debutant, Billy Frampton, Nick Murray in. Meanwhile, for the Lions, Grant Birchall, Jared Berry and Reece Matheson into their team.
Ball comes back into play. Bobbling around among the players, eventually picked up by Robertson, and he got it off. Outside 50, McCluggage. Inside the centre square, McKay come across. It was picked up by Hipwood on the ground briefly, but he's tackled. They're over him, and numbers form. What does the umpire think? He says, give it to me. It's just inside the centre square between wing and half forward for the Crows.
No score so far, early stages of the first. McInerney taps it straight down to Lyons. Brisbane move it forward. Off a few hands, it bounces towards Cameron. Hand pass into the 50 to McStay. He's got a runner out wide in Bailey, who spins from 40 out. Kick was smothered. Well done by the Crows. Brown's hand pass wasn't a good one, though. Cameron can mop it up from 35. Curl it around the body. Minor score to the right-hand side. That'll kick us off at the Adelaide Oval. It's the Lions by that solitary point 2 minutes into the first quarter.
Just don't like that setup when they're really high in that space at the back, particularly with Cameron. You saw there, he's got genuine leg speed, and versus Luke Brown, I'm going to back Charlie Cameron in every day of the week.
And again, looking for polish, just that handball astray too, and directly out to the space of Charlie.
Brodie Smith bringing the ball in, gave it to Sloane, the skipper, playing under an injury cloud, if you like, with a problem with a finger tendon. He won't have surgery. He's playing on. He kicks it to the wing, and they force a ball up the Lions. So it's on centre wing, eastern side of the ground.
Smack bang on the logo. O'Brien in front position. Can't win a clean tap. Robinson there for the Lions. Hands it to Rich. Quick kick towards centre half forward. McCarthy's there. He's quickly wrapped up, though. Brown brings him to ground. Another ball up to come. This time closer to right half forward for the Lions, who lead by 1.
Chase Jones, who was good and desperate. He's got Charlie Cameron, so he's going to have a big day ahead of him.
McInerney knocks it forward. Sloane looked like he was in the back of Zorko, the opposing captains. Now the ball's bobbled out towards Robinson. So Mitch Robinson sends it forward for Brisbane. Just crosses the 50, goes out of bounds. We'll get a throw in. The aforementioned Chase Jones was there for Adelaide.
Oh, he's doing a swap now. Brown's gone to him.
It's a boundary throw in inside Brisbane's attacking 50. McInerney again against O'Brien. Brisbane winning it down, but Laird's there, diving onto the ball. Hand pass out wide to Chase Jones, who threw it on the boot errantly. Out of bounds on the full. Brisbane free kick right half forward.
And Mitch Robinson takes the ball. I know it's just under 25,000 here, but they're pretty quiet at the moment in expectation. Robinson puts it into the forward pocket. McInerney, look away hand pass. It bobbles around again among players. Smith came through brilliantly, gave it to Butts, and then was tackled without the ball, and the umpire said play on. Smith was looking for the 1-2, and now he's looking back at the umpire. Bailey, meanwhile, stood in the tackle, eventually just kicked it out wide. Robinson picks it up, handballs it off to Hipwood, gave it back to Robinson. Then he fumbled, Hipwood picked it up off the left foot, inside forward 50, big pack forms. Often McCarthy was brilliant with his hands. He gave it across, eventually to McStay. He tries to tap it out. Duday clears the area again for Adelaide. They're under heaps of pressure.
Cut off by Harris Andrews, though. The Lions looking to go again. Robertson into Robinson. He's caught in a tackle. They turn it over. The Crows head out towards the eastern side. Frampton's caught behind, though. Misread the ball. Intercept mark taken by Payne. He'll hand it back into the centre square. Long kick now from Birchall into the 50. Big fly early from Danaher, crunching the pack. No free kick as he didn't have... He didn't get close to the ball, and it should have been a free kick. And there's going to be a deliberate free kick as well. The Crows looking to clear out in the scoreboard pocket. Mitch Robinson to receive it. Tight angle on the right, 35 from goal.
I think McCarthy's gone a couple of seconds too early. That surprised another free wasn't paid there.
I think he actually crashed into his own player, so that's why it wasn't a free kick.
So Mitch Robinson on the tightest of angles. Comes in for the Lions, heads towards home. Oh, nearly snuck it through. Hits the right-hand goalpost. Another minor score for Brisbane. They're up by 2. 5.5 gone in the opening quarter on Grandstand AFL. Your experts, Scott Camporelli and Rod Jamison.
Well, double to the disposals and 5-1 inside 50, so pressure early in the game.
Brodie Smith this time plays on, comes to this broadcast side. Walker comes from behind, couldn't take the mark. It's picked up by Rowe, handball to Sloan. Inboard he went to Keys, the former Lion. Keys opts to go to Walker. Walker opts for his left foot, wasn't his best effort. Sends it out wide, looking for Frampton inside 50. Taken away from him far too easy. The Lions work it through Starcevic and Andrews. And then back to Starcevic, who's taken over the boundary line, 40 around from the goal face at left half forward for the Lions.
And that's his challenge, Frampton. He's been outmarked already once here and then gets beaten in a one-on-one. Not a good start considering you're probably playing pretty much for your career today, I would have thought, Jamo.
Brisbane by 2. Walker in front position, tried to get the tap down, did well to get it to Scholl, whose hand passes a turnover. Adams can gather in the right back pocket for Brisbane. Heads up to the eastern side, leading out. Good mark taken from McCarthy. Thought he didn't have a chance there as Duday crunched him, but came across, got it on the chest.
He's strong overhead, isn't he?
Just behind centre wing, Lincoln McCarthy. Decides to centre his kick back. He'll find Birchall, one of their 3 inclusions, the Brisbane Lions. Birchall staring straight into the sun, doesn't know what to do, so he'll pop it short to Starcevic.
Starcevic between halfback and centre wing. Inboard to the run of Birchall with the hands, and then straight across the square to Andrews. Andrews takes the ball on his back foot, 25-metre hand pass, finds Rich, who goes to the top of the goal square. Numbers there, Danaher late. McCarthy off hands, released a handball, the umpire said play on. Scholl picked it up for Adelaide, gave it off to Brown off his left foot. He goes wide and out on the full. So it'll be a free kick to Brisbane. Jared Lyons playing for the Lions, but was a Crow about to take the free kick.
And that passage of play is exactly what Adelaide can't allow Brisbane to do. They had 3 or 4 uncontested marks, opened the game up, and Daniel Rich is running inside 50 uncontested.
Lyons centres his kick about 20 from goal. Duday brings it to ground. Scholl tries to clear it for Adelaide, looking for Berry. He decides to spoil it towards McKay. Couldn't gather cleanly, is brought down without it. Free kick to the Adelaide Crows in defensive 50. David McKay, the recipient. Dane Zorko, the offender.
So a short pass from McKay finds Keys, who started well. Then he goes short outside 50 to Laird. So he's at left half back, goes centrally again. Straight back in front of the goal face was Duday. 45 out from that goal face. Duday goes further back, finds Butts.
They've got to go forward here, Jamo. Can't go sideways. They're going to get pinned in here. It's going to get kicked down the line.
Butts went short to Brown. He's about 40 from goal, but inside the boundary by some 10 metres only. He goes down the line, high, lots of numbers, big pack. Off it came Schonberg, tried to release it to Keys, balanced it forward for himself and then kicked it off the ground down to Walker, battling on centre wing. They get it away from Walker, the Lions. Birchall with a forward hand pass to Lyons and then off to Bailey inside the 50 again. Very shallow entry. Adelaide will repel yet again.
Duday gets it out wide. A 1-2 with Kelly. Finally clears it up towards the eastern wing once again. Another pack forms. Thilthorpe brings it to ground. Coleman's there for the Lions. Hand pass back to Andrews, then forward to Matheson. The late inclusion for Brisbane gets it forward to McCluggage, who's pushed out of play by David McKay. Boundary throw in at left half forward coming for the Brisbane Lions. They're up by 2 points. 9.5 gone in the opening quarter.
They're probably kicking in too high at the moment. They obviously know they've got an advantage with their tools, but they've had opportunities just to perhaps lower their eyes instead of just kicking it to the tools.
Thoughts of our expert Scott Camporelli on grandstand AFL. Lions clear it away from the stoppage now through Archie. Inside 50, he goes with his kick. In front, Kelly takes a chest mark for Adelaide. Opportunity to go down to Jack Buchetta on the boundary.
Joe Danaher's just come to the bench at the moment. Got a dislocated finger that the doctors are just trying to put back in at the moment.
Kelly sends it long to the western wing. Frampton's there on a one-on-one with Andrews. Neither got a touch on the ball. Tackle now wraps up a couple of players. Payne eventually brought to ground. Ball up to come true centre wing. As Rory Laird comes off for Chase Jones. Quick ball up. Knocked down by McInerney for the Lions towards the boundary line. Bounces in the field of play. Jones can gather. He's taken over the boundary line by Lions. Ball in to come once again in front of the benches. So it's Brisbane 2 behinds. 10.5 gone in the opening quarter. Adelaide yet to score on grandstand AFL. Earlier today, the Giants defeating Melbourne by 9 points.
Forgot the other bit. That puts Richmond out of the top 8 for the moment. So
Don't go there, Crossy.
Go on.
Ball back into play.
Open up the wound.
On the ground, through came Rich. Bobbled out of his hands straight to Bailey. That was fortunate for the Lions. Bailey inside 50 again with the kick. Wide, and I think it came off McCarthy. The boundary umpire was closest and said, no, it didn't go over on the full. I think it did go over on the full, but maybe above the knee. In any case, it's a throw-in. 45 around from the goal face. They're attacking the northern end, the Lions, and on the replay, it was a correct call by the boundary umpire.
Bump ball.
Yep. Danaher into the ruck, was brought to ground. No free kick. Sock it off the deck to Kelly. He's back for the Crows. Hand pass to Duday wasn't a clean one. Cameron applies pressure, gets it to McStay, and Zorko in the goal square can barrel it out of the venue. Brisbane get there first, and it comes at the 11.5-minute mark. They're up by 8 points, 1-8. The Crows yet to score on grandstand AFL. Your experts, Scott Camporelli and Rod Jamieson.
Well, it's been their Achilles heel all year, really. I mean, it was just a hack kick forward, and Jake Kelly is like a hot potato. It was play on and got tackled, but tough handball, and then Tom Duday spills it with Charlie Cameron breathing down his neck. So really tough from that perspective, but that's what Brisbane forwards do. They bring super pressure, and if you're going to prepared to overuse the handball or not put it on the body, you're going to be in trouble.
9-2 inside 50s, Brisbane's way, and again, it's just that polish we're looking for. When you are under pressure, you've got to be able to find the body. Jake was on his non-preferred side. The handball was poor, and that hurts.
Dane Zorko, 4-time best and fairest winner for the Lions. Just improves his rating with his kicking for goal. 9-10 now for the season now. Back in the middle. There's been a push in the back. It'll go straight to the Lions. It'll be Matheson. Quick hand pass straight away to the substitute ruckman in Danaher. Barrels the ball inside forward 50. It came like a shank off the foot, and it goes out of bounds 25 around from the goal face.
Well, and clearances have been pretty good for most of the year. Adelaide, they're a break-even team from that source, but 8-3, so that's where the field position's coming from.
So once again, Joe Danaher into the ruck. This time stands his ground in front position. Tapped it down looking for Matheson. Didn't reach him. O'Brien sockers off the deck out of the 50 straight to Birchall. The Lions have it now in the centre square. Central kick to Archie, who heads back into the 50, just overshot McStay. The fall of the ball, McCarthy overruns it. Gathered by Sloan, the Crow skipper, hands it wide. Scholl gets it back towards Brown. Then further forward to Rowe, back to Brown. Kick out of 50 was smothered. Back to Brown again, who dives into the ball, this time wrapped up by Starcevic. Umpire waits. Ball up to come, just right half forward for Brisbane.
Numbers around the footy, Aaron. It was like 5-2. Brisbane's way. Just you got players at the footy and then just hanging out to receive it.
O'Brien with a tap down for Adelaide, but first touch was to Mitch Robinson. Then finally Keys gets it away from the area, back towards centre wing, and coming across Adams, taking a strong mark for the Lions, so he'll go back. Walker will stand the mark. Marcus Adams established himself in the Brisbane backline this season, and he goes down to the top of to the 50, but wide, and the ball goes out of bounds. So it hasn't been a great spectacle to watch, but Brisbane has certainly been in the front half most of the time. 1-2-8 plays, no score from Adelaide.
We've had highs and lows in terms of crowds over the past few years. At one point we had 2,000 in, but they were louder than this. 25,000 allowed in, but no one's making a single noise. From the ruck contest, Bailey gathers it cleanly. Hand pass back to Birchall, to centre half forward now. Hits up Berry, spins around, heads into the 50. Awful kick for the Lions. Kelly cuts it off. Defensive mark for Adelaide, who are yet to score, approaching the 15-minute mark.
Round one last year, Aaron, when we had no crowds at all here against Adelaide and Sydney.
So ball down the line eventually. Over the back, it was Berry for Adelaide. Samberry got the hand pass off. McHenry looks inside after taking a bounce. Running for him was Seedsman. Eats up the metres inside 50 with a bounce. Keeps it low. Goal! Lovely finish from Seedsman. And that's why he's been so good this season and so consistent for Adelaide. They get their first. Adelaide 1 goal straight 6. Plays Brisbane 1-2-8 after 15 minutes.
Yeah, well, it was a nice ground ball by Berry. They were out. They had plenty of space. It was only Walker and Adams ahead of the ball, but really good overlap running by Seedsman to stick his head down and run. And I thought he was just going to kick it over the top to Taylor Walker, double back into the corridor. He made the right decision in the end, and he's a beautiful kick, Paul. So nice finish, and he goes on his merry way with the season he's having.
On the text line, Jill and Graham in Kununurra, WA, say, go our Lions, listening while camping on the Lower Ord River. And also, Grant's texted in from Hobart saying, enjoying the game while cementing in Feds posts. Keep up the good work and go the Blues.
Oh, hit those posts straight.
It's the Lions by 2 points. Reset in the middle. McInerney taps it down straight to McCluggage. A handoff cleanly to Lions. Brisbane get the clearance into the 50. McStay's there, as is McCarthy. Brought it to ground, bouncing awkwardly for Hipwood. Smith can gather for the Crows. A hand pass back to Butts. Clears it out of the 50. Hits up McHenry at right half back.
Well done.
McHenry in turn goes to centre wing, finds Laird. Laird just behind centre wing on this broadcast side. Inboard he looked, thought about it, now he goes. It's called play on as he gave it to Smith and it wasn't 15, said the umpire. Smith down the line with his kick and again intercept mark. Walker outmarked that time by Marcus Adams.
So well, he's taken 3 intercept marks already from balls that have been kicked down the line.
Adams sends it straight back down the line. McStay was there, was punched away by Duday, gathered by Laird. Short pass over the head of Schonberg, heading towards the boundary, picks it up and gets the kick down to half forward as he's taken to ground. Ball comes to ground at half forward. Harris Andrews, interesting hand pass along the line. What does the umpire says? It was enough of an effort to try and keep the ball in.
Oh, you sure?
To earn a throw in. I'm just saying what the umpire ruled.
He's just handballed that straight out of bounds and there's not a Brisbane bloke within 5 metres of it.
Somebody else's problem there, wasn't it?
Toss back in. McInerney wins it down. Lions up against McKay, can't gather cleanly. Ball's just held up a little bit at right half forward for Adelaide. Finally picked up by Keys. Back to Laird. Kicks around the body into the 50. Walker just gets rid of Adams, but coming across to assist is Harris Andrews. Spoils it out of bounds. Boundary thrown to come inside Adelaide's attacking 50. It's Brisbane 1-2-8 playing the Crows 1 straight 6.
It's been hard going for both sides. Inside forward 50. Apart from, well, you'd say Seedsman's goal for sure. And a mistake from Adelaide that gave Zorko the goal for Brisbane. Now Walker taps it to the front row, runs onto it, puts a little banana on what could have been a straight kick, and he hits the post from about 15 metres away.
Just kick and drop punt.
It was well set up though, wasn't it, too?
Yeah, well, it's poor by Brisbane because they just allowed Adelaide to pull them all to one side of the stoppage.
So the Lions by a point now, approaching time on. Rich will play on from the defensive goal square and head to the left back pocket and finally send it long to centre wing on the western side. Packer waiting there. Danaher brings it to ground. Rolls through Seedsman, picked up by McHenry. Spirals it for the Crows to right half forward into open space. Bounces favourably for Adams. Hand pass forward to Bailey for the Lions, who's carried over the boundary line by McKay. It'll be tossed in at right half forward once again for Adelaide.
James Rowe needs to find something, doesn't he? He's had a quiet couple of weeks. The pressure just hasn't been there and he hasn't been able to hit the scoreboard too. And just could have got things away, and he is a confidence player. He needs to get one early.
Ball back in. McInerney couldn't get quite rid of Philthorpe, who got the ball on the ground, tried to get it forward. In the end, it came to McInerney. Scrubby old kick. Umpire's calling play on. Would have been touched off the boot.
Oh,
Cameron
wow.
Was ruled to have held Smith for Adelaide. So the former teammates, Brodie Smith and Charlie Cameron, against each other.
Smith just forward of the logo on the western side. 50's flooded, so he'll send it high and long. Frampton tries to get a lead, coming across. Adams juggles it and finally takes the intercept mark on the third bite. He's been good for Brisbane early. Crowd isn't happy, but Adams will head further wide. Hits up Payne, awful shank off the side of the boot. Somehow worked well for Lions. Gathers off the deck, kicks it into open space, short of right half forward. McCarthy leading out, trying to gather, was brought down without it. Carried over the boundary line in the process. We're just waiting to see what the call is. Umpires finally pointed towards Brisbane. They were actually pointing Adelaide's way for a while there, and we thought no way there could be a free kick. So the Lions received the free kick through McCarthy, forward of centre wing, pops it up towards the 50. Danaher gets a lead out over his head. It spills to McInerney, has a few fumbles. McKay's right on him, shrugs him away. There's coming back for a free kick. Joe Danaher, you're right. Scott Camporelli will receive it.
Over the shoulder.
40 from goal, 45-degree angle to the right. Nick Murray offending him in that marking contest. Brisbane to get a shot on goal.
And that's what happens, doesn't it? When you're an undersized defender, Gemma, you've been down there. I didn't often get down there except for a kick in, but when you're undersized, you just scrag, you hold, you just give away some free kicks, especially when it's a high ball like that. And he's 203. Murray's probably 195, 196.
Danaher comes in, kicks from 45, straight over the goal umpire's hat. Joe Danaher gets his first. Brisbane extend their lead to 7. It's 2-2-14 playing 1-1-7. 21 minutes gone in the first quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Oh, the 14th inside 50-5 in favour of Brisbane 2, and just the height, you're right, and the amount that it's actually gone in there, and they've actually just dropped it into, obviously, Hipwood's been a bit quieter. Danaher seems to be the target that they continually go to, and Murray was probably a little unlucky too. And the game's just set up for a forward though now, isn't it? Because you can't take an arm. That one was a little array where it was a little high across his right shoulder, but
my old teammate Steve Silvani would have had a hell of a time in the modern day. I mean, he would have found a way, no doubt about that. But
yeah.
He would have gone forward. That's what he would have done.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah, I'm out of here.
Ball back in the middle. 7 points the margin in favour of the Lions. They have yet to win at the Adelaide Oval. Twice they've been here, only twice, against the Crows, who clear the area. Schonberg down to half forward, picked up by the new boy Pedler, sends it along, big leap, ball came to ground, and it is held in there. Just trying to get a look, might have been
Berry,
yes, it was Berry for Adelaide. Sam Berry, who went up, so it's 25 out straight in front of the goal face for Adelaide.
Here's the reset. Walker in front position, carried away from it by McInerney. Hand pass was an awkward one, and Rowe is caught high. Oh, no free kick. They've said he's ducked into it. Archie caught him. Ball up to come once again, 30 from goal. The Lions escaping with one there. Walker in the ruck contest, got boot to ball towards Berry, who gives it back to Walker, shrugs his opponent, curls it from 15, taxes on the scoreboard. Back to a 1-point game. It's the Lions 2-2-14. Adelaide now 2-1-13. Time on in the first quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Well, they look really dangerous at their forward 50 stoppages. Rose had a shot on goal. Taylor Walker's kicked a goal from that there, but their movement, they're blocking for each other. They've got a bit of momentum, and they look really dangerous. But when you only had 6 inside 50s, you've got to make the most of the opportunity.
Do you want? And Berry too, just starting to get it. We know he tackles hard. He doesn't get a lot of it. It's a difficult role half forward to get the footy, but he's involved, got it out to Taylor Walker and inked another 1-year extension, so he'll be around next year. But it's as fresh as we've seen him look for quite some time.
Well, it's as fresh and free that we've seen Taylor Walker look this season. He's been in fantastic form out of the middle. O'Brien couldn't take it. Sloane turned into a tackle. Brisbane able to take it forward, but they'll be repelled again. It was given to Laird, and Laird just sent it to centre half forward. Off hands to his peddler, knocked it in front of himself. Now he gathers, gets a shepherd from Walker on the long preferred left foot across the goal face. And he hits it over the line in the right forward pocket for Adelaide. They trail by just a point, and we're 24 into the opening term on Grandstand AFL.
Making his debut today, a couple of possessions, make him feel a little bit more comfortable out there.
Scott Camporelli, Rod Jamieson, your experts. It's the Lions by a point. Time on in the first. Tossed back inside Adelaide's attacking 50. Walker again taps it down towards McHenry. He's quickly wrapped up and brought to ground. Ball up to come 15 from goal. Slight angle to the right.
I don't like what they're doing here, Brisbane. They're opening up the front of the stoppage and just allowing that vacuum all the way through. They've got no sweeping winger and no protection there. So Adelaide forwards are just running freely towards goal.
Walker again wins the ruck. Tap down to Starcevic, who's wrapped up by a couple. Another reset coming inside Adelaide's 50.
Schoenberg and Rowe just setting it up too, just to be able to fend off to create some space.
McInerney gets the tap down. Walker follows up. Released it somehow. Somehow it got to McHenry, who was on the boundary line. Laird gave it to him, and I mean just handed it to him. And then McHenry taken over the boundary line. So about 15 metres around from the goal face. Adelaide attacking hard late in the opening quarter. Grandstand AFL at the Adelaide Oval.
They are again. Rowe, Schoenberg, Hendry.
This time it's Thilthorpe into the ruck and he's easily beaten. McInerney takes it, hands it towards Lyons. He threw it a spiral on the outside of the boot up towards left half back. Off a few hands, falls towards McStay's, brought to ground in the tackle, did not get boot to ball. Play on called. Murray's now wrapped up by a couple, a pile on top of him. Just behind centre wing for the Lions. Ball up to come in front of the benches.
That was schoolyard stuff, wasn't it? Dog pile. Everybody on.
British Bulldog.
So O'Brien knocks it forward off the ruck contest. He went to Robinson for the Lions. They punch it further forward, down to half forward. Interesting push from Danaher. Gathered
trouble.
it, spiraled it inside 50. Out the back was Cameron, and he's pulled down. Through for the minor score. Luke Brown got him.
Well done, Luke Brown.
It was almost in the goal square. Cameron gathered. Brown got him straight away.
I think that's the first time in about 6 weeks I've heard you get it wrong.
I didn't get the wrong about the positioning with Charlie being one out ahead of the ball. Well done, Luke Brown.
It was.
So Brown heads out of the 50 to a contest and spelled out of play. It'll be tossed back in left half forward for the Lions. On the text line, John from West Footscray says, good afternoon, ABC Radio. Let's wish Sean Burgoyne all the very best tonight, notching up 400 magnificent games for Hawthorn and Port Adelaide. That game will be coming for the majority of our listeners. Everyone in WA, you'll get Fremantle and Carlton. But yes, congratulations to Sean Burgoyne. It's a massive milestone coming up and one of SA's greats. From the ruck contest, Zorko gathers in front position. He's brought to ground. Ball up to come.
I don't even think my games and your games combined reaches 400.
Well, you let the other half down.
Oh, hang on.
Contest at half back for Adelaide. They whip it away. Seedsman just sends it down to half forward. Connor Payne goes up and knocks it over the boundary line. Crowd wanted deliberate, but of course it was a marking contest as such, and so it'll be a throw in right half forward for Adelaide. Closing stages of this opening quarter, and a lot of scoring and a lot of fumbling, I would have said, though we have seen.
McInerney went straight down to the debutant Pedler, who heads into the 50 for Adelaide. Walker in front position, couldn't plunk it. Falls down, Schomburg overruns it. Gathered tight angle in the pocket by Rowe, who got carried over the boundary line. They were away there in a burst, Adelaide. Boundary throw in to come, 15 from goal in the right forward pocket.
Adelaide have done well to bounce back, haven't they, too? The first 10-15 minutes was all Brisbane. They just hammered inside 50, couldn't finish off, and Adelaide have managed to get a couple on the scoreboard and now are holding it in their 50.
Walker in the ruck contests. At the front was Zorko for Brisbane. He was taken to ground by Keys. And we'll get a ball up. It's now only 20 metres out, just slightly to the right of centre. Came down to...
Kick that backwards.
It was smothered, I think, off the boot by the big ruckman in McInerney. Eventually they get it out, Brisbane. Robinson fighting hard. He's picked the ball up again. He slipped the ball forward. Matheson just socketed outside defensive 50. Duday was there. He picks it up, sends it back towards the 50 for Adelaide, and fumbled over the line by Seedsman there as he tried to half volley it. Throw in.
Still plenty of time remaining in this opening quarter. 3.5 And it's currently the Lions by 2 points, 2-3-15 plays 2-1-13. And the late change, Lockie Neal out for the Brisbane Lions, with Reece Matheson coming in. O'Brien in front position, tapped it down to Matheson, who gets it towards Robinson. The Lions head up to centre wing on the western side. Brought to ground. Kelly's wrapped up by McStay. Couldn't dispose of it. Duday comes to assist. He's caught by Bailey on the logo. And it's deemed to be high. Free kick to Adelaide, true centre wing.
Wow. Yeah, Zach Bailey's a good player, isn't he, too? Hits the scoreboard.
Former Norwood boy.
Yep.
So Duday with the kick. Runs around and then sends it long down the line. O'Brien clunks it. Hand pass outside. The Seedsman gets around 2 Lions. Inside 50, squares the ball. It's up high for the Lions, and Walker stayed down. Over the back it went to Pendler and eventually over the boundary line. What does the umpire think here? The boundary umpire says Walker's arguing the point, but it's going to be a throw-in. Some of the crowd not happy, but let's be honest, they boo at any decision against Adelaide.
Let's have a look. Did come off Zorko's foot.
He was out on the full. Missed that one.
From the ruck contest, Walker takes it, hands it to Schonberg, curls around from 45, heading towards home for Adelaide. It's starting right, not coming back, and marked on the behind line by Harris Andrews. No score. The Lions up by 2 points, late stages of the first.
A real balance of height, haven't they? And really solid defenders, and they use the football well, Brisbane.
Andrews looks to clear the 50. Dangerous kick, though. Berry nearly gets a hand to it. Just a little too high for him. Payne will take the mark on the Payne of 50 at left half back.
Solid, only in his 10th game.
They've had to be solid down back this season. They've lost a few players through injury, and they've found some form, and Payne's one of them, and he sends it long to centre wing. Over the back it goes to Kelly. His kick rebounds off Lions and then goes forward to half forward for the Lions. Eventually coming the other way more. Now McCluggage grabs it, and then one-handed mark, I thought, taken by Kelly. Umpire called play on. It didn't go far enough. McStay gets it inside 50 for the Lions. And now Lions, a hand pass forward. Over the top was brilliant. McCarthy took it. One look at the goals and a snap for the goal.
It's a good finish.
Brilliant finish by McCarthy, who just quietly is another ex-South Australian. And he kicks the goal, silences the crowd, and gives Brisbane a handy advantage going into quarter time of 8 points. It's 3-3-21, plays 2-1-13.
Well, it wasn't pretty. It was just 3 or 4 hat kicks forward just to get field position. But then Adelaide made that crucial mistake. It was 3v3, then it went to a 3v1, and Lincoln McCarthy just spat out forward. And Jared Lyons, who's got great vision and great skills. We talk about being able to use the skills in under those pressures, just flips it forward and step inside. A great finish.
Scott Camporelli, Rod Jamieson, your experts this afternoon in the twilight fixture of round 16 on Saturday. It is the Adelaide Crows up against the Brisbane Lions. The Lions currently up by 8. And there hasn't been a mark inside 50 as we approach quarter time in the opening quarter. It's been messy football.
Mitch Robertson, 10 disposals in this quarter, and Rory led Adelaide for 9.
In the middle, Matheson soccers it off the deck towards the Lions 50. Duday can cut it off the bounce. Under pressure from McStay. His hand pass and errant one to the boundary line, and he'll see it over to be tossed in at left half forward for Brisbane.
It's only the 6th time these sides have played in Adelaide in the past 15 seasons. So it'll be a bit of a mystery for the Lions players, you'd think. So the ball to be thrown in.
Anything south's pretty cool, isn't it?
It is from Brisbane.
Yep.
Ball off the ruck contest. Schonberg picked it up. Interesting hand pass. It wasn't a hand pass. In fact, it was Seedsman who gave it to Schonberg. And now it'll come back, and right on 50, the free kick will go to Bailey for the Lions. So Bailey, let's watch where Daniel Rich goes. He's got the leg, and surely around the back he gets it. Runs on the left leg, starts it on the left post, and it stays there for the minus score. But boy, from outside 50, he made the distance fairly comfortably.
It's Riley Philthorpe. That was he was watching, wasn't he, too, just to allow Rich to run past.
He touched on the Lions record here, Crossy, so they haven't beaten the Crows at this venue, and they're 1-6 overall. The only win coming against Port Adelaide in their last game here. Cleared out of the 50 by the Crows. Philthorpe in front position, spoiled it down. Ricochets off Key's boot. Through the logo it goes. Birchall keeps his feet for the Lions. Hand pass back to Robinson, then a 1-2. Birchall through centre wing, heads back to the 50 for Brisbane. 2-on-2 awaits. McCarthy comes across in front position. Takes the mark. Free kick coming back to Adelaide. McCarthy looked to have it clean, but Unfortunately, Zorko had a hold in that contest. Jack Kelly to receive it. He'll barrel it out of the 50 for the Crows up to centre wing. Rich is underneath it. There's another free kick, this time for a block. And it's going Brisbane's way to Harris Andrews. So Andrews, centre wing, doesn't have a lot of time to work with. Sends it long to the 50 on the stroke of quarter time. Hipwood Rose couldn't gather. Keys at the back, picks it up. Just barrels it out of the 50. It tumbles towards the centre square. Picked up by Birchall. Hand pass inbound. Hits up Starcevic, then Rich. Bailey on this quarter-time siren did not get his kick away. Score will not count, and it was through for a major as well. The Lions still take a lead into quarter time. It could have been so much more if they had a few extra seconds there. It's 3-4-22, playing 2-1-13 at the first break at the Adelaide Oval. The goal scorers, all singles for the Lions. It's Danaher, McCarthy and Zorko. Meanwhile, for the Crows, Seedsman and Walker. Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross with you alongside Scott Camporelli and Rod Jamieson, with Jack Burketta on the boundary as well. The text line, if you'd like to get in touch, 0437 774 774. Earlier today, the Giants defeating Melbourne by 9 points, and a big couple of games coming up after this. Fremantle and Carlton. You'll get that in WA if you're a Dockers fan, and everyone else, you'll be headed over to the milestone matchup with Sean Burgoyne's 400th game. Hawthorn up against Port Adelaide at the Docklands. It's a big day of footy here on Grandstand AFL. Coming up next, this second quarter.
To watch the latest stories from ABC News and clips from our current affairs shows online, it's time to go direct to the source. Australia's most reliable news can be found on ABC Radio, the ABC News app and the ABC News website. Download the free app now and stay across local breaking stories, updates and analysis from Australia's most trusted news. What matters to you matters to us, and it's all on the ABC News app and news.abc.net.au.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Sock it off the deck to Kelly. He's back for the Crows. Hand pass to Duday wasn't a clean one. Cameron applies pressure, gets it to McStay, and Zorko in the goal square can barrel it out of the venue. Brisbane get there first.
Over the back, it was Berry for Adelaide. Sandberry got the hand pass off. McHenry looks inside after taking a bounce. Running for him was Seedsman. Eats up the metres inside 50 with a bounce. Keeps it low. Goal! Lovely finish.
Danaher comes in, kicks from 45. Straight over the goal umpire's hat. Walker in the ruck contest got boots a ball towards Berry, who gives it back to Walker, shrugs his opponent, curls it from 15, taxes on the scoreboard.
One-handed marker, thought taken by Kelly. Umpire called play on. McStay gets it inside 50 for the Lions. And now Lions a hand pass forward. Over the top was brilliant. McCarthy took it. One look at the goals and a snap for the goal.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
It's a single-digit margin in a lopsided game. The Brisbane Lions up against the Adelaide Crows at the Adelaide Oval, and Brisbane lead by 9 points at quarter time, 3-4-22 to 2-1-13 on Grandstand AFL. Earlier today, the Giants defeating Melbourne by 9 points to move into the top 8. Melbourne could lose top spot if the Western Bulldogs can defeat North Melbourne tomorrow. On the text line, 0437 774 774. Mark in Adelaide says, hi team, what is the crowd estimate? Well, up to 25,000 fans are allowed in today. There were still tickets on sale to the public this morning, so I'm not sure if they'll actually hit the 50% capacity, but we are allowed a certain amount of fans in, and they've been pretty quiet so far until Adelaide finally got on the board. But it was Brisbane's quarter, leading by 9 points at quarter time, 3-4-22 to 2-1-13. Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross with you. Your experts to break down the opening quarter, Scott Camporelli and Rod Jamieson.
Yeah, well, you called it, Jamo. Brisbane were all over Adelaide in the first probably 15 minutes. Adelaide hit back, and they looked really dangerous from a forward 50 stoppage point of view, but that's really the only dangerous place they look on the ground, really. They've had 9 inside 50s for the quarter, and Brisbane have had 21. That's on world record pace. And Adelaide are lucky that they've only gone at just a tad under 30% in terms of efficiency going inside forward 50. So if that continues to be, the dam will break, no doubt about that. Having sat in the coach's box, 20 inside 50s in a quarter, that alarm bell would be going off. But the most concerning thing for me is around that midfield. So that midfield contest, minus 22 possessions for Adelaide, minus 10 contested possession, minus 13 uncontested, and they're getting beaten in ground ball and also clearance. So that dominant from the midfield, getting it forward. That's why they're having the field position. And when Adelaide have got it inside their forward 50, Andrews and Adams have had 5 marks between them, and that's contested marks. So they've actually dominated that part of the ground in terms of when Adelaide kick it high into the forward 50.
I need to see Taylor Walker lead up a bit more. Again, it'll be how Adelaide control the footy behind, when they're coming out of defence. So it's going to be difficult for him, but I know there's massive raps, isn't there, on Riley Thilthorpe, but I just want to see some urgency. He's a really laid-back, laconic. He moves really well, but just in his contest, that example where Rich just ran past him and he just sort of sat and watched, and he just allowed Rich to get onto his left and ended up missing the goals there too. But there's some positive around. I guess Jimmy Rowe has hit the post. Schoenberg's got into the game. I'm liking Luke Pedlar, McHenry with his energy, but it's still off the back of, I guess, Adelaide are winning the football back or through mistakes of Brisbane. There is some pressure there, but they're working hard to get a hold of it, aren't they?
Well, if you look at the stats, compared to the other side of the ball, Jake Kelly's had 8 possessions, Tom Duday's had 7, Brodie Smith's had 7, Luke Brown's had 7. Yep. So defenders have all got the ball. Rory Sloane's only had the 5, Schoenberg's only had the 4, Seedsman's only had the 3. And other than Laird and Keys, they're the only ones that are sort of generating any ball through the middle of the ground. And, on the flip side, Robinson's been outstanding on the wing. Zach Bailey's really good through that middle part of the ground. Jared Lyons and McCluggage, probably to Adelaide's benefit, haven't quite got going yet.
We have a look at their forward line. When you go through it, when you don't see a lot of Brisbane, or I haven't watched a lot of them, but when you sit down and go Hipwood, Danaher, McCarthy, Cameron, Bailey, McStay, that's your forward line. And Cameron. And then you go Andrews, Adams, Birchall, Rich, Starcevich and Payne in defence. We haven't even spoke about their midfield yet. Mitch Robinson's flying with 11 disposals, so they're a class act here. Adelaide are just hanging in.
And the Lions are doing it without Lachie Neale, who was laid out as well with a calf injury. So their midfield certainly standing up by 9 points at quarter time. Quickly, we can head down to Jack Paqueta on the boundary.
In this second quarter, guys, keep your eyes on Brodie Smith and Charlie Cameron. The former teammates were niggling each other constantly in that first term, and Brodie Smith dropped Charlie Cameron at the end of that first term, so he might have a little fine coming his way.
Well, Campo, Charlie is a bit yappy at times too, isn't he?
Well, they are best mates. Yeah, it's hilarious. Yeah.
So the Lions 3-4-22 lead Adelaide 2-1-13. Second quarter underway. Round 16 action on Grandstand AFL, and I spoke too soon because the bounce will be recalled.
No, they lost 2 seconds through.
That technically did start.
That's unlike you to go earlier.
Oh, here we go. Only took you a quarter, Campo. Let's try this again. In the middle, McInerney up against O'Brien. The Crow went early and won it down for himself. Gets boot to ball under pressure. Rolls towards Laird, who soccers off the deck. Clean bowl to Archie, gathered by McHenry with the fend off. He gets one away, tackled by Archie in the second, and it was in the back.
Wow.
Free kick to Ned McHenry. 40 from goal, straight in front.
Well, it was in the back, but it was probably holding the ball before that because he didn't dispose of it.
Well, he fended off, didn't he? So
he fended high on Harris Andrews.
Oh. Look, I guess that's the beauty of our game too. You hang on to the football as much as you can. You always try and give it to someone in a better position, but the umpire's still got to make the decision. So give yourself a chance.
So Ned McHenry to kickstart the second term, starts outside the paint of 50, leans back from 45, doesn't have a lot of distance. It's far right as well. Thilthorpe on the behind line, claims to have taken the mark. We're just going to wait and see whether it will be paid.
Yep.
And Riley Thilthorpe will receive it up against Marcus Adams.
Oh, wow.
The tightest of angles on the right behind line. Riley Thilthorpe's been a revelation for the Crows so far this season.
Take your time.
Pick number 2 in last year's draft.
How big his hands are on the footy.
Needs to curl it around from the tight angle on the left. He's done so. Adelaide strike first in the second term. We're back down to a 3-point game. It's the Lions 3-4-22. Adelaide 3-1-19. Approaching the 2-minute mark of the second quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Well, just a centre bounce. It wasn't ideal. Riley O'Brien just hacked the ball forward, and Ned McHenry was on the end of it was still a free kick in the back, no doubt about that. He was probably holding the ball before that, but there's nothing worse as a coach when it just gets marked on the goal line like that and your defenders or ruckman can't punch the ball through at that part of the ground. So Chris Fagan will be a little disappointed with that.
Well, we spoke how good they are, the defenders, and they just got caught, but Riley Thilthorpe over the top just plucked it, jumping off both feet. In his 10th game, and now that's his 17th goal, 17-5. So
good strike, right?
It is indeed.
Early birthday present, turns 19 on Wednesday. So the ball back in the middle. And O'Brien came over the top, knocked it down. Laird was taken as soon as he received the ball. Robertson was in there. So not Robinson, who's dominated, but Devon Robertson was the player then. Now offhands this time. It comes to the ground. McCluggage was there, flipped it up. Robertson got the ball forward for the Lions, and McStay at centre-half forward takes the mark and then turns around quickly and drops it inside 50. It wasn't able to be marked, and then the Lions get it again, but Duday with the intercept mark away from Mitch Robinson takes it right in front of the goal face, about 30 metres out.
And Devon Robertson looks like he's got a job on Rory Laird.
Played on Joel Selwood last week and ended up being nominated for the Rising Star, so he's certainly got the roll down pat. Duday went to Smith, who clears it up to left half back. There's a free kick for a hold. It's going Adelaide's way. Billy Frampton, one of their 3 inclusions, will receive it.
His first touch for the day.
Not good considering he's been goalless in 5 of his 6 games. And an awful kick cut off by Mitch Robinson in the centre square. Ricochets to Zorko, who paddled it out to Hipwood. Hand pass to the eastern side to Lyons. Composes himself with a short kick to Danaher. It bounced awfully for him. Murray tries to gather for the Crows. Gets it to Scholl, then back to Chase Jones inside the boundary line at right half back. Piercing kick looking for Keys. Rich comes across. Knocks it out of play, centre wing on the eastern side. It's Brisbane by 3 points, early stages of the second quarter.
Crowd out there all rugged up. It's a cool afternoon. The only blessing is we haven't had any sleet come down, because earlier in the day there was a couple of showers that were, well, they seemed like sleet anyway.
Aren't they talking snow in Victoria too?
They are. I don't think it'll be at the MCG, hopefully, for the big match tonight. Hawthorn against Port Adelaide. That 400th game for Sean Burgoyne. So the ball's still on centre wing on that outer side. O'Brien got a little toe to the ball. Zorko came through the pack and then knocked it forward straight to Scholl for Adelaide. Down to half forward, Walker sits in front of Adams, who knocked it away. It was picked up by Starcevic. Around 3 Crows, got a kick away into the centre of play. And it's come off hands at the back. Then McCarthy picks it up and turns around briskly. And Sloan dives right across his boot and takes it away from him.
Hand pass to Rowe, who heads up to right half forward. Walker's got some space on Adams. The bounce doesn't work for him, though. Adams gets rid of him and gathers in defensive 50 for Brisbane. Hand pass to Lyons, then further wide to Andrews. Spirals it up the eastern side to the logo. Doesn't work for Chase Jones, who tried to cut it off. Butts comes to assist. The Crows now through O'Brien. Forward to Jones. Then off towards Laird and back to the ruckman O'Brien. Centres his kick. Unfortunately, the debutant Pedler slipped over, intercepted by Starcevic. The Lions now at centre-half back through McCluggage.
McCluggage flares it out wide. Logo centre wing was Charlie Cameron. Gets a few boos. Unusual for Charlie. Against his old side, though, of course, or his old crowd. Down to half forward, Starcevic ran on from half back. Took the mark wide out, 5 metres in from the boundary. Looks inside 50. No leads coming. Just decides to bang it long. O'Brien, centre of the pack. Big numbers jump over the top of him. One of them was Duday, who came down with it. Hand passed it away just into space. Zorko picks it up, belts it long again. And umpire didn't pick out a free kick there. Scholl got it and eventually rushed over the line by Jones for the minor score for Brisbane. And Brisbane now extend their lead, or their margin, to 4 points. 6 minutes in, second term grandstand AFL at the Adelaide Oval.
I was watching the football the other night, and Jobe Watson was saying, I think, when you talk about Sean Burgoyne, I think he started a year earlier than him, and Watson retired 4 years ago, and Burgoyne's still going.
Well, Burgoyne was saying there are teammates who weren't born when he was drafted.
Brodie Smith went long out of the 50 at the back of the pack. Seedsman socked off the deck, and it's been deemed deliberate as it carries over the boundary line. Robinson for the Lions heads forward to Rich at right half forward. Just cut off by Keys, so he'll slow things down. Daniel Rich in great form off the half-back line this year for the Lions. Heads around on the left and into the 50. McStay, or McInerney gets a run at it and takes it. 35 from goal, 45-degree angle to the right. Brisbane get a shot through their ruckman.
I don't think that was the spot that it was intended to, but McInerney just had a couple of yards on Riley O'Brien and just the height.
He's normally a pretty reasonable set shot from goal. Crossy, you got the numbers there?
I do, and they show that McInerney has 4 goals, 5.
So
Bad call.
he's a great set shot for goal. You watch this, straight through.
McInerney proves that Ruckman cannot kick.
It proves Campo does make mistakes.
He's done it twice and it's not even half time.
Across the goal face, out on the full. Free kick to Adelaide in the right back pocket. They'll look to clear it to right half back.
Everyone has an off day.
So
How
long
you
it
respond,
goes.
Gemma? How you respond?
Adams claimed the mark. The umpire said no. Released a hand pass back to Andrews. Back inside 50, the Lions. Off hands, Duday. Couldn't take it. Swooping in then was Laird. Released a hand pass. It didn't go anywhere. Now it's on the ground again. Laird's got it. Zorko had him. Got out to Scholl for Adelaide, and he's taken by Lyons. And he's forced the ball up, has Jared Lyons, in game number 150. I think everybody thought his career was over when he was delisted by the Gold Coast. What a pick-up for Brisbane.
Former Adelaide Crows player as well. From the reset, McCluggage a hand pass back, looking for Hipwood, who fumbled. Regathers up against McKay, a bit of a mismatch. Kicks around the body into the right forward pocket. It's bouncing to the boundary line. Fans want deliberate. Umpire took a while to think about it and eventually calls the boundary throw-in. Cameron was giving chase, but the ball rolled over the boundary line to be tossed back in. It is Brisbane up by 4 points.
I dare say it, but Charlie's having a quiet first half, isn't he?
Off the ruckman's hands, Zorko with a big tackle, and he was on Laird and forces a ball up. So the ball up, only about 40 metres out from the goal face. Brisbane attacking. McInerney out of the ruck, didn't get a clean possession. Bailey is taken down. That wasn't in the back either. That's interesting. Now it's come for Scholl, and he's cleared it out to the eastern side into space. First man there will be Birchall for the Lions. Hooks it back over his shoulder. 25 from goal, and Danaher almost brought it down. It's taken away by Duday. Forward hand pass to Sam Berry, then to Butts, and they're out. Other Crows.
Walker marks in the centre square. Man stands the mark, so he can't move it too quickly. Heads out wide to the eastern side, much to the disapproval of Scott Camporelli.
Stay in the corridor.
Scholl marks in space, takes a few bounces and runs to right half forward. Centres his kick into the 50 for Adelaide. Frampton's there, caught behind. Brought down his opponent Andrews to ground. He's a bit hurt. Meanwhile, the ball carries on. He's actually hit by it in the process. Picked up by Schomburg, whose kick was smothered. Rolls over the boundary line. Robinson on the deck as well. There's a fair bit going on inside Adelaide's attacking 50, and they're down by 4 points, approaching the 10-minute mark.
Well, he did the right thing, Tex. He slowed up, let the ground reset, but he had Schomburg probably 20 metres in the corridor, and he would have probably just run and knocked that over. It said he looked wide.
I thought Frampton ran to the wrong spot too, 2-on-1. He had some space and time.
McInerney in the ruck contest eventually taps it towards the boundary, and the umpire calls for a throw in. Schomburg sliding in, tried to kick the ball forward. He got it after it was over the line just as well, because he thumped it right out on the full. So we get that ball in now about 25 around from the goal face in front of the old scoreboard.
The text line, if you'd like to get in touch, 0437 774 774. Walker in front position against McInerney. Neither ruck got a clean tap. Picked up by Bailey, who was stripped of it, dropped the ball, no free kick. Walker just trickles it forward. Picked up by Frampton, who kicks it into the right-hand goalpost. Minus score for the Crows, back down to a 3-point game. 3-5-23 plays 3-2-20. 11-minute mark of the second quarter on Grandstand AFL. Your experts Scott Camporelli and Rod Jamieson.
We probably just need to take that chance, didn't he? They're the little things, I guess, for his own confidence and also the team.
Daniel Rich plays on, brings the ball in for Brisbane, goes into that scoreboard pocket again to Andrews. So he backs up.
He's got Eddie Betts' shorts on.
He's always got them baggy, so he took his time, then went down the line. Well done by Murray. Got in front of Danaher, thumped it forward for Adelaide. Now it's come towards McHenry, but off his legs and over the boundary line. We're going to throw in. It's just outside, attacking 50 for the Crows. Interesting second quarter. The Crows with the only goal, 1-1, as opposed to just a rush behind for Brisbane.
So far, Rory Laird has 13 touches for the Crows to lead the stats in terms of disposals. Toss back in at right half forward for Adelaide. O'Brien in front position, takes it out of the ruck. Hand pass forward for McHenry, who couldn't gather cleanly off the bounce. Laird comes to assist, just throws it on the boot towards the goal face. Doesn't reach there, out of bounds on the full in the left back pocket for the Lions. They're currently up by 3 points. 3-5-23 plays 3-2-20. And while I touch on those stats as well, the best for them, Mitch Robinson has 12, Harris Andrews and Grant Birchall with 10.
Andrews just another possession, dropped it in short to the next man you mentioned, Birchall, who's taken the mark.
Better second quarter, Crossy, too, Adelaide. Just have shut things down, haven't given Brisbane the time and the space.
Both sides seem to butcher the ball going forward, though. And there's now a ball up out there between wing and half forward for the Crows on the eastern side of the ground. Give us a chance to get down to Jack Paqueta.
Guys, the wind has died down completely out here. It's quite dewy and slippery and becoming like a wet weather game out there almost.
Keys with a quick clearance. Walker comes out and is met heavily by Rich. He's holding his face. The Lions look to rebound while Walker's still on the deck. Kept in play by Matheson. Kicks on the outside of the boot. Bounces for Hipwood, who can't pick it up. The Crows have numbers. Butts gets it back. Jones kicks towards the logo on centre wing. Pedler will take the mark. Walker is still down. Multiple trainers there. The Crows centre wing on that eastern side. The umpire hasn't halted play. Pedler's called to play on. Sets it up to where Walker's waiting at right half forward. Off hands, comes towards the Lions' advantage. McCarthy gets it forward to Coleman, then over the top to Matheson. Looks for a hand pass inside, doesn't have anyone. Pushes it forward now. Spinning around his Lions, kicks towards centre half forward. McCarthy takes the mark for Brisbane. Now kicks towards the left forward pocket. Cameron leading out will take it. Walker is still down behind play. Looks to be a shoulder. Meanwhile, Charlie Cameron has the mark. Tight angle to the left. 35 from goal for the Brisbane Lions.
No. What's going on, Aaron? I think he tried to get up. He was a bit wobbly too. They're looking at his
neck.
His neck. Yeah, so he's trying now. Up he sits.
Surprised they haven't stopped play. Charlie Cameron has the set shot on the paint of 50. Walker's just gotten to his feet in the arms of both trainers. Cameron will come in though for the Lions. It's too far left. Minus score again for Brisbane. They're second of the second term. They're yet to kick a major, but they're up by 4 points. 3-6-24 plays 3-2-20 as Taylor Walker slowly makes his way off the ground. He was met heavily by Rich. Immediately clutched at his head. They did look at the neck area as well as the Lions try to head out of the 50.
So ball on the ground, Frampton. Oh, he actually threw that to Laird, got away with it. Laird went back towards Smith, who then went back to McKay. Now he clears it down the line. Centre of the pack was Adams for Adelaide, brought it to the front. Ball on the ground again. Lots of players around the ball. Sambury for Adelaide gave it back to Thilthorpe, and then he gave it to McKay. He was bowled over. The kick was smothered. And was that pulled in? The umpire says no, it'll be a ball up on the boundary line. Jack Paqueta watching what's happening with Taylor Walker.
Taylor Walker is still making his way off the ground, just walking. He fell into Daniel Rich's hip. It doesn't look good for his neck and shoulder area. Still walking off the ground. I'm surprised the umpires haven't stopped this one.
He can barely move. He's very stiff. It's the slowest of paces as he makes his way off the ground. Meanwhile, the Crows have it at left half back. McKay hand pass inbound to Smith, who sends it long to left half forward down the western side. There's a free kick for a hold. It's going Brisbane's way. Marcus Adams will receive it. And the offender, Riley Thilthorpe. Adams kicks short to Daniel Rich. As Walker now sits on the bench. Daniel Rich has it just behind centre wing for the Lions, up by 4 points.
Looks like he was just walking on the beach. Nice and slow.
He might have been told to limit his movements. Rich goes short to Birchall, heads up to right half forward, cut off by O'Brien. Good pack mark there for the Crows. Jack Paqueta down on the boundary.
Yeah, Taylor Walker went straight down to the rooms, and Jackson Haley is warming up on the bike at the moment.
O'Brien's release kick was horrible. It was intercepted by Matheson for Adelaide. 70-80 from goal, drops at 25 from goal. Hipwood from behind. Ball comes to the front in the end, and it's in dispute. Seedsman tackled. He was over the ball. Robertson had a hold of him, and the umpire said, give it to me.
The Adelaide defenders done a really good job, the tall defenders. They haven't marked anything. McStay.
From the ruck contest, Zach Bailey gets boot to ball out of nowhere on the outside of the boot from 40. Zach Bailey, something from nothing. Brisbane get their first of the second quarter, and it's out to a 10-point lead. 4-6-30 to 3-2-20. 17 minutes gone in the second term on Grandstand AFL.
Well, it was a pretty even quarter up here. Real armless. So as you said, Jamo, Adelaide have actually responded in terms of slowing the game down, getting it back into a bit more of a contest, and winning that part of the ground. But geez, he's a talent, Zach Bailey, isn't he? He finds the ball. He's got great skills, good composure, loves tackling. That's off 2 or 3 steps outside of the foot banana goal.
18-6 for the year. Is there any rules about eating a Chupa Chup on air?
Who would be doing that? Ball back in the centre. Thanks, boys. The banter between Scott Camperelli and Rod Jamieson. Brisbane, they've eked out a 10-point lead. Back in the middle, O'Brien for Adelaide will clear it away. Down to half-forward Rowe. Overran the ball. Now he's got it on the ground. No, he hasn't. McCluggage picks it up. He was tackled but got a release. Out to Matheson. Matheson's hand pass wide. Looking for Jared Berry. Jared Berry dodges back inside, sends it down the half-forward with his kick. Pack there. Adelaide with 2 punches. Sends it back into the centre square. Seedsman released it quickly. Now it's with the big ruckman. And he drives it down to half-forward. Well done by O'Brien, but a ball off hands. And again, Brisbane have an opportunity.
Adams gathers and is brought to ground by Berry in the attacking 50 for the Crows. The ball comes out. Trying to gather it was Seedsman. Berry comes to assist. He picks it up himself. Runs around and kicks up towards the top of the goal square. Thilthorpe in a one-on-one is beaten by Harris Andrews. Kept his space, got a fist to it. And a free kick's going his way as well.
Bagger was buried then in that contest too, wasn't it? Just the football came in. He had to work hard to win the footy, the contest. I think it was up against Adams and then just recover and then put it forward.
I thought Thilthorpe and Andrews both had a grab of each other's jumper, but the free kick will go to the Lions in defensive 50. Out to Matheson, who marks a hand pass to the running McCluggage. At centre half back, he pops it down the line to Coleman diving down. Takes it back edge of the centre wing. Kicks his inbound towards Robertson. Takes the mark. Fakes a hand pass out wide. Then the line. Devon Robinson heads into the 50. 2-on-1 didn't favour McStay. Falls towards Butts. Clears the kick for the Crows out to right half back. Danaher took the mark only because Rowe was pushed out of it by Starcevic. Free kick to Adelaide at right half back. They're down by 10.
It's really going to test, isn't it, with Walker off the ground now. You've only got Frampton as the key tool and Thilthorpe, who's been filling in the ruck. So Riley O'Brien's going to have to do a fair bit of work.
And Rowe's kick picked off by Adams this time. So the former Bulldog, again, resurrected his career this season with the Lions. Drives it back down to half forward. Lions continually tending to bomb the ball. Off hands it comes to Danaher. He gets outside the left foot, inside forward 50. Brown did well, knocked it away. Bailey picked it up, though, for the Lions. Off the left foot, that was awkward. In fact, that was shocking. And it's fallen into the hands of Scholl. Man on the mark, Zorko, moved off too quickly, predicted what was going to happen. And that is a 50-metre in favour of Adelaide.
Haven't seen too many of those given away. It is a hard one, isn't it, when you anticipate to want to go when you've got to stand.
Scholl heads wide to Seedsman, runs through centre wing. Hand pass forward to Laird, short of right half forward. Adelaide now into the 50. Laird's kick for Frampton. One take, 2 bites, gets it. Billy Frampton with the contested mark. 25 from goal, 45-degree angle to the right. He hasn't been great in front of goal this season. Can he finally convert?
It was a really good kick, actually. It was sort of low and hard, wasn't it, too? It was out in front. It wasn't high to allow the Brisbane defenders just to get their fist to it. Harris Andrews, we know, is a talented defender. What I'm doing.
Billy Frampton to end a run of 5 goalless games. Comes in, kicks from 35. It's heading left and no chance of coming back. It was lucky to be a minor score. The Crows reduced the deficit to 9 points. 4-6-30 place, 3-3-21. Time on in the second. Not what you wanted to see from Billy Frampton.
So Lions bring it back in. Hand pass from Birchall found Adams. He sent it down to centre wing. Picked off the pack by O'Brien off his left foot down to half forward. Running back with the float of the ball. Good mark taken there by McHenry. Matheson with the pressure. McHenry gets up. So he's at left half forward. He waits.
Had Seedsman. There it is.
And he went to Seedsman. Seedsman plays on. Goes outside and then has to kick with his right foot awkwardly. Down to the goal face he goes. Andrews with a big punch and eventually over the boundary line, right forward pocket for Adelaide, attacking that northern end of the ground.
It's that little purple patch here, Adelaide. They just can't score. Frampton, just the way he was holding the football, dropped it poorly.
The injury news so far, Taylor Walker in the rooms with a possible neck injury after colliding with Daniel Rich. In the ruck contest, Thilthorpe got a hand to it as he was pushed out by McInerney. Spills towards Schomburg. Kick was smothered by Starcevic. In the scoreboard pocket, he's wrapped up, dropped it. Schomburg gathers, centres his kick. Adams reads it best. Cuts it off for the Lions. 20 out from the defensive goal line. Heads to the right back pocket to Payne.
Connor Payne then, outside defensive 50. Rare mark there for Hipwood leading up. Takes it just inside the boundary line on this broadcast side.
Adelaide wouldn't mind him getting the footy way back there.
Hipwood decides the option is a 50-metre kick down the line. McStay was in the contest. Butts took it over the line, or punched it over the line ahead of Robinson for the Lions, and we'll get a throw in just slightly ahead of centre for Brisbane. Gee, it's been hard going. It really, honestly, it's a hard match to watch, isn't it?
Hang in there, Crossy.
At least it's a close one. It could have easily been a blowout in favour of the Lions.
About 3 minutes, you can have a sausage roll. Reset.
O'Brien taps it down. Rich just busts through Seedsman. Hand pass for the Lions to McCluggage. Then out towards right half forward he goes. Juggling it with one hand. McStay did brilliantly. Awful kick, though. Along the ground, Danaher slides in and gathers from 35. Stands up and curls it from the left. Joe Danaher. That is brilliant. He's got 2. The Lions out to a 15-point lead. 24 minutes gone in the second term. It's 5-6-36 to 3-3-21. Joe Danaher got low to the ground, slid in, gathered and curled it. A magnificent goal for the Brisbane Lions.
Well, not bad from a 202 centimetre. He hasn't marked it, and we said it before, Jamo. The Adelaide defenders have actually done really well in terms of air. Danaher hasn't taken a mark. McStay really just took his first mark there. They haven't marked the ball, but that's 200 centimetres at ground level. Fell over, up like a cat and slapped it round on his left foot for a goal.
Yeah,
I mean,
class, isn't
that's. I mean, he is a talented player, no doubt about that. But to be that size and shape and be able to move like that, outstanding.
2 young defenders. Nick Murray's standing him, and he's done a good job as well. Jordan Butt's the other one. They've just got their hand on it, big fists, and been able to do what they can. And as you said, kept them reasonably quiet.
Brisbane by 15 points. O'Brien out of the middle for Adelaide, but it only got as far as half back. Starcevic picked it up, drove it down to half forward. Hipwood brought it to ground, went in solidly, got the ball in the end out, and hand passed it straight to Rory Sloane for Adelaide. Laird then received, missed with his hand pass. In came Lyons for Brisbane. Slipped it wide, looking for Robinson. Socketed it off the ground, got a return bounce. And then it went to Lyons, and he balked around a couple. Inside forward 50. Big mark taken, centre of the pack. Chase Jones. A relief for the Crows.
He found his spot back there, half back pocket.
Hits up Rory Laird at centre half back, then into the square to Kelly. No one stands the mark, so he decides to play on. The Crows head towards the 50. It's an ugly kick that bounces over the head of Frampton, which is hard to do. Payne mops it up, a hand pass to Andrews. Then Adams, the Lions head out towards left half back. Robertson brought down in the tackle over the boundary line. It'll be tossed back in on the eastern side. Brisbane up by 15 points. That's a game high as well on the cusp of half time.
Important point now. 2 minutes to go, Jamo. Adelaide wouldn't want to just, what they've done history and just let a couple of quick, easy ones to go in at half time. I feel like they're still in the game, even though the scoreboard's not quite in their favour. They're in and around the contest.
Ball back in again. O'Brien charges through, having knocked the ball down for Adelaide. And now he gets a second go at it. Couldn't get a good possession away. McCluggage swooped on it for the Lions. Took it back towards centre wing. Cameron had the ball taken away from him by Jones over the boundary line, just ahead of centre for the Crows.
Again, they're just working really hard for it when they go forward. That last kick then just on, makes it hard for Frampton. Haven't been able to get an easy mark inside 50, Adelaide, other than just probably that one earlier in this quarter to Frampton where he still is in a contest, but few and far between.
We'll get an update on Tex Walker very shortly down with Jack Buchanan. Meanwhile, David McKay takes it from the ruck contest, brought down, dropped it. Free kick to Brisbane on the eastern side through Jared Lyons. So just forward of left half back for them now. Jared Lyons doesn't know where to go. Looks in and out. Finally hand passes to the runner from behind in Birchall, who sends it long to left half forward. O'Brien taps it down in the contest. Danaher can rove though. Hand pass inbound to Rich. Lowers the eyes. Heads right towards Robertson, who's sliding in. Couldn't gather. Chase Jones right behind him, and he hand passes straight to Seedsman. Turns it over. The Crows through Duday, who's met heavily. Got a hand pass away though. Jones inbound back to Laird. Now at left half back, he turns it over to Adams. He's wrapped up by Berry, shrugged him away, dropped it though in the second attempt. Marcus Adams gives away the free kick. McHenry came to assist and will receive it for Adelaide. Just forward of left half back, quickly down to Jack Paqueta.
Going to wait till half-time to make a call on their medical substitute. Jackson Haley's hopped off the bike, put the jacket back on. Taylor Walker's still down in the room, so he's been down there for more than 10 minutes now with that apparent neck injury.
McHenry went short to Sloan. Sloan took the mark. Down the line he went. Payne off the pack. Said Connor a couple of times. He's actually an A-League player. Jack Payne. Now Adelaide out the back through a chain of hand passes, and then finally it's given from Keys to McKay, and he snaps the goal. And Adelaide, hard-working Adelaide, gets one back. It's Brisbane 5-6-36. Adelaide move along to 4-3, 27, 28 gone just before half-time at the Adelaide Oval. Quickly down again to Jack Paqueta.
Huge concern down here for the Brisbane Lions. Harris Andrews and the arms of trainers helped off the ground. Cannot put any weight on that left leg. Looks bad, this one, guys.
Just in that last contest too. Frampton and him, nothing in it, just up. But then from that contest late on the ground, Adelaide were able to clear 4 handballs and David McKay on the end.
Some big-name casualties so far. So Taylor Walker colliding with Daniel Rich has a neck injury in the rooms. Harris Andrews now being carried off with an ankle. Lockie Neal was laid out with a calf injury during the week. Plenty happening at the Adelaide Oval, and it's a 9-point game. The Brisbane Lions 5-6-36 to 4-3-27. Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross with you alongside Scott Camporelli and Rod Jamieson. Clean bounce in the middle. O'Brien wins the tap down for the Crows. Sloan just sockers it off the deck into the 50. Just beats Berry. Thilthorpe comes out to meet it. Hand pass cut off by Keys, who tries to pick it up off the deck. Berry can fumble it low. He can't gather. Collides with Frampton. Falls towards Robinson, who's pushed as he kicked it and out of bounds on the full. Plenty happening, and it's a free kick to the Crows. 40 from goal, tight angle to the left. Paul Seedsman has it.
Well, the right bloke to have it.
Yep. Just good pressure, though, too. Just seen Ben Keys come through the middle of the ground. He's actually kicked it off the ground a lot today rather than actually try and pick it up and either kick or handball just to keep the footy alive.
So Paul Seedsman on the half-time siren. Tightest of angles, opts for the set shot. It's starting left and not coming back. Minor score to Adelaide, and that will make it an 8-point game at the major break. Brisbane 5-6-36 to the Crows 4-4-28. As we just touched on, plenty of injuries in that quarter. Taylor Walker down with a neck injury after colliding with Daniel Rich's hip. It was accidental, so Rich isn't at fault there for that, but some concerns at how stiff Walker was coming off, whether or not there could be any issues with the neck and maybe nerves as well. Meanwhile, Harris Andrews is down on the boundary getting some work done on his left leg. So a big key forward out and also a big key back at the moment for the Lions, who are up by 8 points at the major break on Grandstand AFL. Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross with you alongside Scott Camporelli and Rod Jamieson. Your text very shortly on 0437 774 774. But gents, your analysis of the opening half.
Well, Adelaide worked really well in that second quarter. You know, we saw Brisbane get away and take control and really did take it to Adelaide in that first quarter, and Adelaide were able to get back into it as the quarter went on. But certainly in that second quarter, right from the outset, I just spoke of Ben Keys wanting to keep the footy alive rather than take it, and they haven't been able to do it a whole lot through passage of play that have been clean, but they've just been getting it forward. But they've had to work really hard to do so. I spoke in that quarter two around the defence of Adelaide doing a really good job. I think Chase Jones is starting to find his form and find his way through the AFL system. And it happens to be in the back line. He's 30 games in now too, so uses the football well. Dudo, we know, he'll just continue to give the effort. But I like what I see with Butts and Nick Murray, just to be able to get their fist to it. And look, they're going to give up some footy at times with the amount of football that goes in there. And then Adelaide now are going to be tested with Taylor off as that we key forward as to what they're going to do through the middle of the ground. You'll see Thilthorpe probably go into the middle and do a little bit to relieve Riley O'Brien, but that's just going to leave them a little bit light on with height up forward. So they're just going to have to weave some magic at half-time.
Yeah, the challenge is going to be, and the one stat that worries me, 20 inside 50s to 34. So at some stage, Brisbane, you would expect that they're going to hit the scoreboard with the amount of times that they're going in there. So they've had 34 inside 50s for 11 shots. So that's not a great turnaround in terms of a reward for effort through there. So clearance is about the same. Tackling just worries me. Crows, they're ranked 18th from tackling, Jamo, for all year, differential. So their pressure, their perceived pressure is okay, but they don't turn the ball over from that source. So that worries me a bit still with the uncontested possession. But to be fair, they've actually worked their way into the game. And, great goal in the end there. We've said the last 2 minutes not to get scored against, but to actually get one back and, be within, a kick and a half, I guess, for half-time against the top 4 team, they'd be pretty happy.
And for the Lions, it's almost a flip of roles. Mitch Robinson is their best with 17 disposals. Dane Zorko has 2 at the half. Well, he's had a big season, but he's just very quiet at the moment.
Well, again, we talk about the defence of Adelaide. They've been able to keep Charlie Cameron really quiet. He's kicked 2 behinds. Zorko, we know, is class and leads, their captain as well, and does what he needs to do. But, from Adelaide's defence, they've actually picked them off and done a really good job on them.
On the text line, John in Shep says, hi guys, enjoying your call. How many mix are there in this game? There are 6 of those, John. So we've got McCluggage, McCarthy, McStay, McInerney, McHenry and David McKay as well.
You preempted that question, didn't you?
I was ready for it. I've been sitting on it for a while.
He's got a bit too much time on his hands.
Yeah. Wow, You can tell it's been a very enthralling game.
Another work during the week, Aaron.
On top of that, Josh from Brunswick says, great call, lads. Does Scott Camporelli still barrack for Carlton? God, I hope so. Was my favourite growing up. You've got a fan out there, Campo.
Oh, it's nice to hear. I got called Negative Nancy on the radio this morning.
It did.
Ooh, boy, that bloke over there.
Boy, guys.
That was by Wendy.
But thank you for... I am a Carlton supporter, absolutely, and it was great to see him get a win last week.
Were you a Carlton supporter before you got drafted?
No, I was a Glenelg supporter.
Right. What about in...
never really followed...
You played for the Eagles, but you're a Tigers supporter.
Well, my grandma and my mum were Bay supporters, and Chris McDermott was my favourite player.
Oh, there you go. Oh, well.
Speaking of big Bays, you'll be very happy then because they're still undefeated. They beat the Crows earlier today in the SANFL.
Well, they were pushed. Adelaide pushed them for 3 quarters too.
But good to hear your tip as well for later tonight, seeing as Carlton are in action against Fremantle.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, isn't it? I just think Fremantle will probably get over the line. I think that's probably where it'll be, but I think it'll be a tight one. Normally, Justin Longmuir has been really good defensively, and I think they can probably score, whereas Carlton are struggling in that part of the game.
I thought Williams, he's out too, isn't he, after last week?
Yeah.
So that was probably his best game for the year. He's been in and out. That second quarter, they've shown what they can do. So I've also picked Freo tonight.
For WA listeners, you will get that game on ABC Radio and Sport Digital. So that's set the MCG Fremantle up against Carlton. The Dockers originally wanted to go to Launceston and possibly could have even gone back to WA now that lockdown has been lifted. But regardless, it's at the MCG this week against Carlton. The other game that everyone else will be headed to at the Docklands, Hawthorn up against Port Adelaide in Sean Burgoyne's 400th game. So you'll be headed to both those games at the conclusion of this one here at the Adelaide Oval, where the Brisbane Lions lead the Adelaide Crows by 8 points at the major break, 5-6-36 to 4-4-28. Great to have your company. The text line 0437 774 774. But for now, on ABC Radio, ABC News Radio and ABC Sport Digital, it's time to take the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
ABC News with Satyam Weinstein. The New South Wales Premier is pleading with Sydney-siders not to let their guard down during the weekend's good weather at the halfway point of the city's 2-week COVID-19 lockdown. There were 35 new cases reported overnight and 56,000 tests carried out. 9 of the cases were infectious while out and about in the community. Premier Gladys Berejiklian says she's always assumed there would be a high number of cases despite the lockdown.
So long as the majority of those cases are in isolation, that's less concern, and that's exactly what we've seen overnight. If we continue to see those trends, we have a greater chance, of course, of getting out of the lockdown in a timely way.
Victoria has again recorded no new coronavirus cases with 0 infections in both the community and hotel quarantine. Leanne Wong with the details.
For the third day in a row, Victoria has recorded no new local infections. It's now more than a week since a new COVID-19 case was recorded in someone not in quarantine or isolation, and the number of active cases in Victoria has fallen to 30, including those in hotel quarantine. Last night, Victoria downgraded Darwin and Alice Springs from red zones to orange zones, meaning people travelling from there need to get tested and isolate until they receive a negative result. But red zone declarations remain in place for areas around Greater Sydney, Greater Brisbane, Townsville, Perth and Peel.
As Perth and the Peel region exit a snap 4-day lockdown, the WA government says it'll be taking a step-by-step approach to easing restrictions with no new cases of COVID-19 recorded. Tabrak Aldrud reports.
More than 2 million people in Perth and the Peel regions have started their first day out of lockdown after 5 people in the city's northern suburbs contracted the virus. The first phase of eased restrictions will continue for the next 3 days, including mandatory mask wearing as well as a 4 square metre rule and a 20-person limit at all indoor and outdoor venues. The post-lockdown restrictions will also apply for people travelling to other parts of the state. The second phase of restrictions will start from Tuesday before Perth and Peel is expected to return to pre-lockdown measures on July the 12th.
The Federal Health Minister says Commonwealth and state officials have started working on a plan to ease Australia's COVID-19 restrictions. National Cabinet's agreed to establish a 4-stage process to eventually return the country to normal. Each stage depends on Australia reaching certain vaccination targets, which have not been set. Greg Hunt says Chief Medical Officer Paul Kelly has already had a meeting with his state counterparts.
The Chief Health Officers have been at work today outlining those steps, and we will get the medical advice shortly through the course of the work of the Doherty Institute.
The United Nations Security Council is warning officials that the conflict in the Ethiopian region of Tigray may quickly deteriorate. UN Political Affairs Chief Rosemary DiCarlo has told a meeting in New York that further clashes are possible between Tigrayan forces and Ethiopian troops supported by the Eritrean soldiers in the Amara regional forces. She says human rights violations must not go unpunished.
I also call on the parties to offer all necessary assistance to the ongoing joint investigation of the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights and the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission. There must be accountability for the grievous human rights violations committed.
The number of deaths from a heat wave that's hit the North American Pacific Northwest is continuing to rise. Hundreds died last week and more deaths are being investigated as heat related in the US states of Oregon and Washington state and in British Columbia in Canada. BC's chief coroner says nearly 720 sudden and unexpected deaths were reported in the province during the heat wave, triple the number what would normally occur in the same period. The toll in Oregon has reached at least 95, and Washington state authorities have linked about 30 deaths to the hot conditions. The reigning queen of the annual July 4th burger eating contest in the US capital, Washington, D.C., has had to share this year's trophy and prize money with last year's runner-up, with both of them downing 34 hamburgers in the regulation 10 minutes. Californian Molly Schuyler's tally was just one shy of her record of 35, but this year she and fellow professional eater Dan Killer Kennedy from Pennsylvania ended up locked in a dead eat. One of the 10 minutes eating time was up. Contestants had to wait another 2 minutes. ABC News.
Now, where was I up to in Fisk? Wait, I can set up a free ABC account. Charlie Pickering. Too easy. So from July, we'll need to log in to stream shows on ABC iView. It's easy to set up, and we'll be able to pick up watching where we left off, even if we switch from smart TV to mobile. Good for watching Bluey on lunch breaks.
For more information about your free ABC account, head to abc.net.au/ABC account.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Ned McHenry to kickstart the second term, starts outside the paint of 50, leans back from 45, doesn't have a lot of distance. It's far right as well. Thilthorpe on the behind line. Needs to curl it around from the tight angle on the left. He's done so. Keys with a quick clearance. Walker comes out and is met heavily by Rich. He's holding his face.
What's happening with Taylor Walker?
Taylor Walker is still making his way off the ground, just walking. He fell into Daniel Rich's hip. The doesn't look good for his neck and shoulder area. Still walking off the ground. I'm surprised the umpires haven't stopped this one.
From the ruck contest, Zach Bailey gets boot to ball out of nowhere on the outside of the boot from 40. Zach Bailey, something from nothing. O'Brien taps it down. Rich just busts through Seedsman. Hand pass for the Lions to McCluggage. Then out towards right half forward he goes. Juggling it with one hand. McStay did brilliantly. Awful kick though. Along the ground, Danaher slides in and gathers from 35. Stands up and curls it from the left. Joe Danaher. That is brilliant.
Adelaide out the back through a chain of hand passes, and then finally it's given from Keys to McKay, and he snaps the goal. And Adelaide gets one back.
Huge concern down here for the Brisbane Lions. Harris Andrews and the arms trainers helped off the ground. Cannot put any weight on that left leg. Looks bad, this one, guys.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Some big concerns for both sides in terms of their big name players. The Harris Andrews update is that he is getting the ACL test done on his knee at the moment. So we hope that it is not that injury and not that serious for the Brisbane Lions backman, but it'd be a huge blow to Brisbane's premiership chances if they'd lose him. Currently getting tested out for that knee injury. Meanwhile, Taylor Walker also getting looked at with a possible neck injury, collided with Daniel Rich's hip. Looked very stiff and struggled to get off the ground after that, and hopefully there isn't any damage there as well to Taylor Walker. So some big name players out at both ends for both sides, and Lachie Neale was the laid out for the Brisbane Lions as well. But the visitors do lead by 8 points at half-time. It's 5-6-36 playing 4-4-28. The Crows well and truly in the hunt, but the Lions have been on top all afternoon heading into this evening. And big thanks on the text line 0437 774 774 to agent 778, who didn't leave their name or where they're from, but says, I know where they're from, because they said, hey guys, it's raining in Parafield Gardens and it should hit you soon. So a bit ominous on the text line that we may be seeing some rain. We had a little bit earlier today, and if we do get some in the second half here, it could make the current football that we're seeing even more messy. That being said, it has been a pretty tight contest, the 8-point margin at halftime to the Brisbane Lions. Earlier today, the Giants defeated Melbourne by 9 points over in Victoria, where the majority of games are being played in this round. The Giants moving into the top 8, Richmond being moved out of it. And if the Western Bulldogs win tomorrow against North Melbourne, they will take top spot away from the Demons. Toby Green kicked 3 goals. Josh Kelly had 29 touches. The best for the D's, Bailey Fritsch with 3 goals. Christian Salem with 31 disposals. Earlier in the round, the Suns defeating Richmond by 10 points and Geelong defeating Essendon by 41 points. Around the country, there was one game that's finished in the NRL so far today, and boy, was it a ridiculous margin. The Sea Eagles defeated the Bulldogs by 66 points, and that was because it was 66-0. Incredible margin there in the NRL, and at the moment the Titans lead the Raiders 27-minute mark 6-0. And the Super Netball, the Vixens defeated the Sunshine Coast Lightning 55 goals to 52. And a couple of games coming up on Sunday in the Super Netball. The Swifts play the Fever. The Thunderbirds host the Magpies, and the Firebirds play the Giants to conclude round 9 in the Super Netball. Great to have your company, though, on the text line this evening, 0437 774 774. Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross with you alongside Carlton Premiership player Scott Camporelli, Adelaide Crows Premiership player Rod Jamieson. Glenn in Russell Island has texted in to say, I also think the Blues are a hot chance today. I get annoyed at the talk of sacking David Teague. I think it's premature and unfair. He hasn't been in the chair for a year yet. The Blues tolerated the totally incompetent Bolton for 3 fruitless seasons before showing him the exit. The Blues have problems finishing, and that's on the field, not in the coach's box. So pretty hefty text there from Glenn in Russell Island, who has plenty of thoughts on Carlton at the moment. Big game coming up.
Is that a fair comment? That's a fair comment, though, isn't it? Like with
that
the
Teague
coaches
hasn't had a chance?
Well, no. Just the amount of coaches that have been through there. I thought Brett Ratton was really stiff to lose the gig when he did, though it seemed to be going okay, and it was probably due to Mick Malthouse being available that they moved him on.
Yeah, well, that was the last time they actually played in a final too, so pretty unlucky. I mean, Rats is a teammate of mine, and I didn't like the way that he was treated and exited either from that perspective, because I thought he was doing a great job and had him on the right pathways. But, once again, sliding door moments, these things happen, and, probably haven't really recovered, to be fair.
Big game coming up for the Blues next. So, WA listeners, you'll be headed to the MCG. Fremantle up against Carlton there. Everyone else, you'll be headed to the Docklands. Sean Burgoyne's 400th game. Hawthorn hosting Port Adelaide in Saturday night football in round 16. And a couple of games tomorrow, all in Victoria as well. Adelaide up against Brisbane here at the Adelaide Oval. The Lions by 8 points at the major break. Scott Camporelli, Rod Jamieson. The Lions on top, but it hasn't felt like they've dominated the contest so far this evening. But what are they doing right?
Well, they actually have. If you look at the numbers, I had a good look at half-time, Jamo. They've had more disposals. They're winning contested possession by 16. They're winning the ground ball battle, which is important. And they've had 12 intercept possessions, particularly in their back half. So they've actually been able to generate some of through there. So, and not only have they been able to intercept out of their back half, they've had 24 forward half turnovers. So their pressure in the forward half has been outstanding as well. But as we said, probably just haven't had reward for effort. They've had 34 inside 50s, which suggests they are getting it in there, but obviously not efficient in terms of going in there. Definitely their forwards haven't marked it, but they're still looking dangerous.
I think your point's really valid around. You have a look at the players that are getting, like Mitch Robinson, he's had 17, but he's kicking at 44%. Jared Lyons has had 15 disposals, 9 at 44%. Matheson's had 25%. So all their key, like Zach Bailey, 29%. So albeit as a team, they're in front in terms of kicking efficiency, it's the back half that are actually using the football really well. So that may contribute to, not being able to mark it inside their forward 50. But again, we keep talking about how Adelaide defenders are getting their hand to it and probably doing okay. But I think at the moment it's probably they're getting enough of the football, smashing it out in multiple areas, but not using the football maybe well enough.
Let's head down to Jack Buchanan to get an update on Taylor Walker.
Yeah, there was some big injury news in that first half. Let's start with the Crows. Taylor Walker has gingerly walked to the bench. The Crows have activated their medical sub. Jackson Haley is into the game. The club says Taylor Walker has a neck strain at the moment, but he doesn't look well. He still looks very stiff and sore. The good news for Brisbane, though, Harris Andrews is back out on the ground. The club was checking his left knee at half-time, and it seems to have passed all the tests, which is great news for the Lions.
Massive result in the context of their season, considering they're premiership contenders right now.
Well, that's a real sigh of relief. Not only just for him personally and his family, but for the footy club. Chris Fagan would be... I know he's got grey hair, but he would have had a few more if that had been the worst case. But that's great news.
He'd be feeling like someone's giving a big kidney punch, I think. It's just going, But, gee, from going from thinking you've done an ACL to back out on the ground, it's good to hear.
Rod Jamieson, Scott Camporelli, your experts on ABC Radio, ABC News Radio and ABC Sport Digital. It's the Crows up against the Lions. Brisbane with an 8-point lead heading into the second half. Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross to call the action for you. So Taylor Walker subbed out of the game for Jackson Haley. And if you'd like to get in touch for the remainder of the game, the text line is 0437 774 774. Neil Cross to kick us off in the second half. It's the Lions by 8.
Cool night in Adelaide, about 10 degrees. Players were waiting for about 90 seconds there before they got the okay to start the match. The umpires now out of the middle. Lions just hand passes it forward for Brisbane. Down towards half forward it goes. Off the ground, Robertson just put it close to the top of the 50. Adelaide come away through Brodie Smith. Hand pass out to Keys. Turns around, eventually finds his left foot. Short kick, too short to the umpire. Play on. It goes back to Keys from Laird. Out there on the eastern side of the ground, down to half forward. Ball spills off the hands. Rich picks it up, just slams it on the boot, goes high and about 30 metres down the ground. McCluggage comes out of the pack. I think he's got something wrong with his hand. It'll be a free kick in any case to Brisbane.
I think he's popped a finger there.
Yeah, he's still trying to do it himself.
Meanwhile, McInerney plays on quickly and heads into the 50 for the Lions. 2-on-2 there. McStay used the body, got rid of Duday with ease and kicks through an open goal. Dan McStay with the early major for the Lions. Within a minute, they've hit the scoreboard and they're up by 14 points in the third quarter. It is 6-6-42, playing 4-4-28. As I touched on, just over a minute in the opening quarter gone in the third term. Jack Buchanan on the boundary.
You guys tipped it. Hugh McCluggage has come to the bench with a dislocation on his left hand.
Oh, we spoke about how good Adelaide's defence was, but McStay too, just his ability to read it, did it really easy, marked deep inside forward 50 for Brisbane, and such an easy goal.
Well, it wasn't smart positioning. Looking at the replay, Tom Duday's a small defender, and he's trying to play in front when the ball's coming in thick and fast, and McStay's an absolute monster compared to Tom Duday, and he just worked him under the ball.
McStay, the unheralded, if you like, tall down there. Danaher and Co take the limelight.
Charlie's come to half forward, Crossy too, to try and get up on the footy.
Might get a chance as Brisbane get the takeaway from the middle. It's come to Robinson, gets it away on his left foot, sends it high down to half forward. Sitting under it was Seedsman, took it nicely, under pressure, now breaks away. Goes across the goal, diagonally across the centre square, looking for Frampton. Ball missed by Frampton. Two Brisbane players collide. The Robertson, and then Adelaide takes it away. And inside 50, it was almost the mark to Sam Berry. Umpire called play on. Adelaide still scrambling. Keys was involved. Now they get it to Seedsman from Laird. Seedsman dodges and then shoots a goal from 40, and he kicks a goal. Well, a good reply from Adelaide after Brisbane with the early one. And it is a battle, this game. Seedsman has his second. Brisbane 6-6-42. Adelaide 5-4-34 after 2 minutes of the third term.
He just does it so well in tight spaces, Seedsman, too. Was it Berry that from Adelaide was able to get the handball? He's starting deep in the forward line, but he gets the handball and just comes inside. And he's just such a good finisher.
I'll tell you what, you would not want to be around Mitch Robertson when he's like a cannonball. And that's what happened. The ball turned over at that on the eastern side, just at the half-forward line for Adelaide, because he cleaned up his own player. And the ball spat out to Scholl, who's on the wing there. The ball still hit the ground. But as you said, I mean, he's turned himself into a real goal-kicking wingman now, Paul Seedsman.
So back to the half-time margin. The Lions by 8. McInerney taps it down looking for Lyons. Was brought down by Laird, but got boots a ball in the air. Rolls to right half forward for Brisbane. Paddled forward by Smith towards Scholl for the Crows. Cut off by Zorko, who knocks it out of play. It'll be tossed back in at right half forward for the Brisbane Lions, up by 8 points. 4-minute mark of the third on Grandstand AFL.
I'd love to see Brisbane get Charlie Cameron up around the stoppage. Luke Brown's going to come with him, get him up around the stoppage and see if he can lose him in some traffic and get him back towards goal.
So the ball comes back into play. Sloan eventually knocked the bouncing ball straight to Scholl, who went down the line with his kick. Umpire said insufficient intent. Can you tell it's a Crows crowd? So free kick for Birchall, who plays on now and sends it long inside 50. Another shallow entry and high for the Lions. Smith's going to get it on the left foot, sends it outside defensive 50. It's going to come back inside to Lions. And McCarthy, or rather Zorko, was a man who delivered it after receiving a hand pass. So Lions now centres up the ball, and McCarthy standing 25 from goal by himself. Straight out in front, will go back now having taken the mark and kick for goal.
Well, that's just really poor defending. I mean, Lincoln McCarthy's a forward, Jamo. He's not a midfielder that's just wandered down there. He's standing inside 50 all by himself, just trying to locate what a defender. I think it's Brodie Smith was actually his direct opponent at that stage.
Jared Lyons, we talk about his efficiency kicking. It was being pretty poor in that first half, but he just nailed him with that kick.
So McCarthy straight out in front, he just stabs at the ball and it tries hard to go to the right but stayed inside the goalpost. Major score for Brisbane, their second of the third term, and the Lions just kick away again to a 14-point lead. 7-6-48 plays 5-4-34, 5.5 gone in the third term on Grandstand AFL, where your experts are Rod Jamieson and Scott Camperelli.
3 inside 50s, Jamos, for 2 goals. So we spoke about the half-time. Perhaps the damn wall might break, but it's not looking ominous at the moment. But for Adelaide, but Brisbane, I love the way they're using the ball. They lower their eyes. They're actually looking for teammates instead of bombing it, which I was probably a little bit critical in the first half because they did have some height advantage there. But good players to be able to spot up a teammate in a dangerous space.
5 goal scorers to Brisbane to this point. McCarthy 2, and Joe Danaher is the other multiple goal scorer.
The only multiple goal scorer for the Crows is Paul Seedsman, and they're going to need one to get back into this contest. Down by 14. Bounce missed both ruckman. Bailey comes through, though, for the Lions. The youngster heads into the 50 for them. A bit short for Hitwood. Bounces over his head. Cameron comes to assist. Paddles it to his advantage in the left forward pocket. Somehow spins. Kicks towards the top of the goal square. Lions just wants to see it through, and it bounces favourably. It looked like it may have headed right. Jared Lyons decided to put his faith in Charlie Cameron and saw it through for a major. Charlie, well, he gets his first of the evening, and Brisbane now out to a 20-point lead. 7 minutes gone in the third. It's 8-6-54, playing 5-4-34 on Grandstand AFL.
Well, he didn't do a lot wrong, Luke Brown, but centre bounce clearances, we know how important they are, and Brisbane are just starting to get on top. I reckon that's 3-zip for the quarter in terms of that part of the ground, so they're just starting to get the flow of that. But Charlie Cameron, outstanding. He just played that ball beautifully. He hit that contest at speed. We said about getting up in the ground and turning Luke Brown around. That's exactly what he did. And as I said, Luke Brown didn't do too much wrong, but played it beautifully. Just tapped it in front of himself and then just steadied and snapped the ball for a goal.
Zach Bailey into the middle, 2 clearances this quarter.
Sounds of the COVID times. Cameron being told, a Brisbane Lion, to go back to Melbourne. So that was what he was told by the crowd. Ball out of the middle, goes forward for Adelaide and down at half forward, eventually over the boundary line ahead of Sam Berry and Payne there for Brisbane. So the ball to be thrown in. Adelaide with a chance to answer again. 3 goals to 1 in favour of the Lions in this third term.
You've got Berry, Rowe, Haitley and Pedler all across the half forward. Small forward line for Adelaide.
O'Brien got it down to Sloan, who kicks it quickly into the 50. It was too short, or too high at least for Rowe. Gets the hand pass though off Frampton. Centres his kick 20 from goal. McKay's got the lead. He couldn't hit it cleanly. Ricochets to Payne, whose hand pass was cut off by Philthorpe. Didn't get boots a ball. Andrews for the Lions now out wide to Archie. He can clear the 50. Great kick. Works favourably from McCarthy, who plays on from right half back. The Lions are rebounding quickly here. Up to McStay. Couldn't take it against Duday, who spoils it out of play on the eastern side. Just repeating the injury news as well. Taylor Walker subbed out of the game with a neck injury after colliding with Daniel Rich. So Jackson Haitley is into the game.
There's that kick from Brisbane too, out of defence. Just that long, clear kick finds their teammate McCarthy. He goes down the line and they're sort of on half forward now, whereas Adelaide have really struggled to carry the footy and find someone out of their defence.
Off the ruck contest, Mitch Robinson ball to boot quickly and sent it into the crowd. No problems there. They crowd not wiping down the ball or anything like that, just returned it straight away.
Just duck and get out of the way of that football.
A famous statement by our chief health officer a couple of weeks ago.
Schomburg down the eastern wing off hands, spilled towards McKay, got it to Keys. Hand pass wasn't good for Frampton, who fell over. Picked up by Adams for the Lions. Hand pass into McCluggage wasn't great either. Scholl gets it. Hand pass to Haitley, his first touch for the Crows in this game. Heads up to Sloan, who's open on the arc. Marks, runs in, kicks from 45, the skipper. Gets a well-needed major. Back to a 14-point game. 8-6-54 the Lions, 6-4-40 the Crows. 10 minutes gone in the third on Grandstand AFL.
Well, the skills haven't been great, to be fair. I was going to use another word, but Keys, and that's the knock on him, is his disposal. I mean, he works hard. I love his effort, but that turned the ball over. They should have got punished then, Adelaide. But then it went back the other way. If you look forward to the ball, there was 4 Brisbane players ahead of the ball with no one on them. They turned the ball over, and then it was 4 Crows players ahead of the ball turned over on the flip side. But I tell you what, Rory Sloan, and I love him, he's a great mate of mine, he'd want to have kicked that goal because James Rowe was running into the goal square with no one on him, and if he hadn't have kicked that, he would have got a decent spray, I would have thought. But good finish.
Skipper of the Crows nursing a problem with a tendon in a finger in his left hand. He's chosen not to have surgery. He wants to play on as long as he can. In the middle, he's got another chance. No, it escapes from him, escapes from Seedsman as well. The Lions force it forward. Zorko went to ground. Umpire comes in, and it'll be a ball up. It's Brisbane 8 goals 6, Adelaide 6 goals 4. The margin 14 points.
Harry Schomburg, Adelaide, going to Jared Lyons.
In the middle, Schomburg gets the clearance for the Crows, straight up and down towards right half forward. Berry underneath it was spoiled away by Payne. Ricochets to the boundary line. Berry gets rid of Archie. Hand pass over the top to McHenry was perfect. Pinpoint pass into the arc. Great delivery. Hits up Rowe. 40 from goal, tight angle to the right.
And this might be to the benefit of Adelaide too. You've actually got to win the football, yes, and you've got to be able to use it, but it's actually going to force them to kicks to a smaller forward line, isn't it, too? So you've got Philthorpe and Frampton deep and about 30 out. But if you've got such a small forward line, you've got to be able to move forward and put it to their advantage.
So 14-9 for James Rowe this season so far. Only 4 of his 14 games he's gone goalless. Let's see if he can make it 4 from 15. Starts outside the 50. Trots in, kicks from 45. It's far right. Through for the minor score. Back down to a 13-point deficit. The Lions lead 8-6-54 to 6-5-41. 12 minutes gone in the third quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Birchall opts to go short from the kick in and finds Mitch Robinson. So Robinson has a look and decides this side of the ground. Good kick. Finds Matheson's chest. Immediately handballs it on. McCluggage didn't have a lot of options. Chose to go back by hand. He went to Payne and then he dropped it in short for Danaher. So Danaher pretty much back where the ball initially was with Robinson. So he plays on outside. Goes towards the boundary line. Sends it down to half forward, off hands to the back. Coleman comes through, takes it nicely. He's got great hands, and then he gives it to McCluggage. He just pops it to the top of the 50, and Cameron with the mark. 45 from goal. He is shooting for his second in this quarter and for the night.
Geez, that was clean by the young fellow, wasn't it? Really clean ground level. And he virtually went through him like everyone else was standing still, wouldn't he? But great composure just to run and draw to McCluggage, and then great inside 50 kick.
And young Caden Coleman, local boy, into the man on the mark goes Cameron meanwhile. And they'll get a chance to escape Brisbane, Adelaide, I should say.
At half-back, Berry gets it forward to Seedsman. Errant kick down the line, cut off by Harris Andrews. Steadies himself and heads to the western wing. Hits up Payne. He'll mark just behind centre wing. Kicks inbound. Bailey takes it and moves it further wide towards Adams. He runs through the eastern side for the Lions. Has plenty of space. Long bong up towards the 50 in the scoreboard pocket. McCarthy gets front position. Beats Chase Jones and takes the chest mark. 40 from goal, 45-degree angle to the right. Lincoln McCarthy looking to kick his third.
Marcus Adams, he's been really good in defence for Brisbane too. Just that big, long kick to have the vision to go over the back, and Chase Jones just lost the body. Lincoln McCarthy was an easy chest mark in the end. Still got to kick it though, that's the thing. You've got to get it over the back. Talk about the efficiency of Brisbane being able to do that from the defence tonight.
Certainly a tough angle on the right. McCarthy heads towards home. It starts nice and it finishes great as well. Lincoln McCarthy gets his third. The Brisbane Lions out to a 19-point lead now. 14 and a half gone in the third quarter. It's 9-6-60 playing 6-5-41. Grandstand AFL and ABC Radio, ABC News Radio and ABC Sport Digital. Your experts, Scott Camporelli and Rod Jamieson.
Well, we spoke about efficiency at half-time. They were probably going at about 30%, Jamo, for return for effort in there, but 6 inside 50s for the quarter for 4 goals. They'd be pretty happy with that.
And going at 70%. Adelaide at 45, so big improvement again all round Brisbane this quarter.
So 19 the margin in favour of the Lions. Put a real question mark over Adelaide right now. So ball back in the middle. Riley O'Brien to go against big Oscar McInerney. And McInerney comes over the top, takes it away himself. On the ground, he picks it up and just hand passes it 20 metres forward. Finds McCarthy. He slips it to Coleman. Coleman on his natural left foot. He's pulled it too far for the minor score. That was efficient out of the middle too from the Lions. Margin 20 in favour of Brisbane in this third quarter, where they've kicked 4 goals straight to 2-1 from the Crows.
Following this contest, WA listeners to Fremantle and Carlton at the MCG. Everyone else to Docklands for Hawthorn and Port Adelaide. Some big news for WA fans. For the West Coast Eagles, Andrew Gaff is out of tomorrow's game against Sydney with a hand injury. The Crows clear defensive 50. Off the pack, it falls to Daniel Rich. His hand pass smothered by Keys. Comes to Rowe now for the Crows. Just throws it on the beat through centre wing on the eastern side. Berry pushed underneath the ball. Payne can't gather either. A couple of Crows come to assist. Keys just tumbles it up towards the 50. It's rolling to the boundary line. Birchall just wanted it to go over and it didn't. Had to gather and was tackled. Boundary throw in inside Adelaide's attacking 50, currently down by 20 points.
Got a bit ahead of himself, Grant, then too. He was just sitting back, wanting it to go over. He had his arms in the air, ready to go deliberate. But it bounced back in.
278th game for the veteran. 248 of those with Hawthorn.
3-time?
Four-time premiership player. Ball off hands, comes Adelaide's way. Rowe forward of the play. Gave it to Schonberg on the right foot. Snap and goal. It was high and wobbly off the boot, but it was good enough and straight enough. And Schonberg gets one for Adelaide, and again they hit back. It's Brisbane 9-7-61. Adelaide 7-5-47. 14 the margin.
Well, it's another forward 50 goal, really, for Adelaide. It was a great pressure by Berry again, picked up by Rory Laird, really clean with Rowe just spat out of that stoppage with no protection once again. It's been like that all night. I can't actually believe that Brisbane actually don't have a sweeping winger there. They've pushed it through to the other side, but they're really getting opened up in that part of the ground. But really nice finish from Schonberg.
On the text line, Grant Fishing in Dongara, WA, says, "Hi guys, great call, love the coverage." Also, Eric from the Mornington Peninsula says, "Always nice Saturday afternoon footy with a glass of red and your banter." Glad you're enjoying it, Eric. That sounds like a wonderful way to spend your Saturday afternoon evening.
What are you fishing for at this time of the night?
There's got to be something out there, surely. In the middle, O'Brien got the tap down. Laird flicks a hand pass out for the Crows. Back to McKay. Shrugs the Coleman tackle. McInerney just shoves him as he kicks it. Up to right half forward for the Crows. Seedsman gives chase. Gathers cleanly off the bounce. Hand pass over the top to Thilthorpe. Into the 50 goes McHenry. Runs to the right forward pocket. Gets around Andrews. Kicked it straight into Bailey though. Has to wrap him up. Drops the ball. Now 35 out from goal. Rowe was caught high there. Definitely. And didn't duck into it. No free kick. The crowd thankfully didn't see it and haven't appeased the umpires as a result. Ball up inside Adelaide's attacking 50, down by 14.
Great smother, Zach Bailey.
Unusual for the Crows crowd not to spot something high. So there's Rowe taking the ground without the ball this time. He received a quick hand pass from Keys. And Bailey got him and held him while the ball had well and truly gone. So Rowe will have another set shot.
Almost from the same spot, Crossy, as he learnt.
And he's kicked a goal in between the two set shots to... Oh, no, he hasn't kicked a goal, but he's handed this one off in any case to Seedsman. And Seedsman bangs it long and hits the post. It was coming back from left to right and hit the behind post. So minor score, and the margin just cut to 13 points in favour of the Lions.
When they do the longest kick next, they have to do Zach Tui versus Paul Seedsman. If Tui's not playing in a grand final, get him on it. Rich clears it out of defensive 50. Spelled to ground by Murray, who's been quiet for the Crows so far. Jones gathers it. Hand pass was looking for Seedsman. Kelly picks it up outside of the boot kick. Looking for Smith, who's close to the boundary line. Coleman applying the pressure. Boundary throw-in to come. Right half forward for Adelaide. Down by 13 points. Approaching time on in the third quarter. The text line 0437 774 774.
Interesting question. Who would be the longest kicker?
It's got to be Tui at the moment.
You think?
Yeah. But Seedsman's definitely going to push him.
Rich'd have to be up there.
Thought Dustin Martin had every title available. Anyway, off hands it comes to the front, and the Lions go down to half forward. That kick from Robertson was marked beautifully by McStay. So he's between centre wing and half forward. Now he drops it out in front of the lead up coming from Danaher. He's still well outside 50 is Big Joe. Big Joe goes short looking for Coleman, and coming across the front of Coleman and knocking it away was Duday. Picked up by Keys, who got a 1-2 away with Seedsman. Now he hand passes it forward. Running is Laird. Laird sends it down to half forward. Wasn't a great kick for his forward there in Thilthorpe. It comes away from the Lions by Andrews. Gave it to Birchall under pressure. His hand pass is intercepted by Adelaide and Seedsman.
Laird gets it back to Seedsman. Kick was smothered as he tried to shake and bake around Coleman. Ricochets towards the boundary line. Coleman soccers off the deck straight into the knee of Duday, and it's steamed out on the full. We'll have to see the height of that one again, but I think it was pretty flat.
That's not out there.
No.
Let's have a look.
No.
Coleman soccers off the deck. Ricochets into the shin, I reckon, of Duday, maybe, but...
That was definitely below the knee, but it bounced before the line.
They've called a boundary throw-in, so the umpires have come together and changed their decision, which you don't see often. So it'll be tossed in right half forward for the Crows.
That just opens more arguments for the players. You can change the umpire's mind.
Please, no. Don't encourage that.
So the ball comes in, and O'Brien gets the better of it, knocks it some 20, 30 metres down the line. Sloane was the target, but it was just too strong for him, and the boundary line wins out, so we get a throw in.
Interesting the setup, isn't it, here too? You've got a number of players one-on-one, but then you've got Seedsman, Lyons letting Sloan go, and you've got Rich off the other side.
4 goals, 1 from the Lions to 3-2 for Adelaide in the quarter. Lions, speaking of, Jared Lyons gets the ball off the rock contest, goes down to half forward, holding umpire has spotted, and it'll go to McStay. He's having a good night. Here's Big Dan
Charlie
McStay.
Cameron all by himself ahead of the ball because Luke Brown had to give the ball back.
He's gone short straight away to McCluggage. Outside 50. Ball was smothered off the boot brilliantly by Duday. Rebounded to Seedsman. Adelaide on centre wing. Frampton takes it. Doesn't want to go.
Had people rushing forward, but Frampton's just held it up now. Centres his kick, though. He's found an open man in the square. Great hit up to Sloan. The skipper hand passes out to Keys running by. Flat kick into the 50. Phil Thorpe leading out with plenty of space. Takes it 30 from goal. Slight angle to the left.
Well, much better kick Frampton too. The one earlier in the, what was it, the second quarter where he went through the middle of the ground. Poor, too much air, but just nailed that one.
So the Crows have 2 of the last 3 majors. This one here to bring it back down to single digits. Riley Thilthorpe had an amazing debut year. Comes in, kicks from 40, leaning back, it's right, and hitting the right-hand goalpost as well. Minor score, 12 points the margin. Brisbane 9-7-61. The Crows 7-7-49. Time on in the third on Grandstand AFL.
Daniel Rich, ball in hand. Just sits and waits and stands at the top of the goal square. Now he plays on. Comes this broadcast side and just booms the ball to centre wing. Boy, he's got a great kick. And coming across the pack, unable to take it, was Murray. And now it's down to half forward. And Cameron coming forward for the Lions. It's off the feet of Robinson. Lucks of fortune. It found McStay, who tried to bounce the ball, got into trouble, was tackled, released a hand pass back to Robinson. And Robinson sends it to the goal face. It's off hands again. Came to the ground. Adelaide through Sloan. His kick partly smothered. It's fortuitous. It landed with Seedsman. Released a hand pass for Laird. He can go over the top. In a bit of space there is Sam Berry. No, it's Pedler, the new boy.
Short kick down the line. Hits up Rowe. Far from home. Still in the back half of the Adelaide Crows. And Rowe has it. Field entirely flooded on that eastern side. Rowe just skies it down the line. Leading out Frampton trying to get there. Hipwood had front position. It was Andrews rather who brings it to ground. Birchall will just carry it over the line, and this time he receives the call he was after a few minutes ago. Boundary throw in on the eastern side. Brisbane up by 12 points, 9-7-61 to 7-7-49. Taylor Walker subbed out of the game as well with a neck injury, so Jackson Haitley is into the contest.
Crowd all of a sudden well involved in this game. O'Brien knocks it forward for the Crows. It's in dispute on the ground. Spills out of the pack to Rich. Goes down to half forward with his kick. Off hands again. Lions had it, taken to ground. Still the ball's in there and couple over the top. Tapped out by O'Brien to Chase Jones. Interesting kick. He only found Birchall in the end. Birchall tumbles a kick another 15 metres or so down the line. Further numbers there. It favours the Lions in the end. McCluggage picks it up, goes to half forward. Out there on the eastern side, picked up by Tom Duday, slung in a tackle. Umpire call play on. And we'll get a ball up. It's between that point of the centre square and the forward 50 arc for Brisbane, attacking the scoreboard into the ground, the old scoreboard, and with a lead of 12 points.
O'Brien won the tap down, but straight to Zach Bailey, who ducked and weaved through multiple tacklers, runs into the 50 and kicks it from 40. Zach Bailey is a star on the rise. He may even be one at the moment. Zach Bailey with a massive major to silence the crowd at the Adelaide Oval, and it's back to a 3-goal lead to Brisbane. 10-7-67, plays 7-7-49. 26 gone in the third term on Grandstand AFL.
Well, he just worked off Rory Laird. Just around that stoppage, just read the ball off the hand, released himself into some space, accelerated and got through Brodie Smith, who was the last defender, and knocked it over. Geez, he's a talented player.
Yeah, they've got some speed, haven't they?
There's a bit of time warp there, wasn't there? You jump to the left, step to the right, or is it a step to the right and jump to the left?
Jump to the left.
Jump to the left?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, jump to the left, step to the right.
You're not doing the nut bush.
That was Jamo at Lenny's back in the day.
So ball back in the middle.
It wasn't on purpose either, by the way.
3-goal lead for Brisbane. Reminiscing. Free kick, high tackle on Bailey. He'll take the free kick right in the larger of the two centre circles. Backs up now, takes his time. He's got an option and uses it. Birchall on the receive and the run. And from inside the centre square goes all the way long. O'Brien late came across the pack. Joe Danaher was standing there thinking, rubbing the hands, thinking, here we go, I've got a mark and a goal. And O'Brien knocked it into the behind post for the throw-in.
So it'll be tossed back inside the lines, attacking 50. Plenty of time remaining in the third quarter. About 4.5 on the clock. In the ruck contest, Danaher taps it down, tried to go behind his head, didn't work. Murray dives in for the Crows. Ball just held up. 15 out from the Lions' goal. And holding the ball is going to be called. Murray released it. Schomburg came in. 2 jumped on top of him. The Lions to receive a free kick straight in front. 15 out from goal, and Dane Zorko, who's been quiet all night, has a chance to make an impact.
Just waiting to see it on the replay here. Let's see, did he...
He scooped it.
And then Zorko's come over the top. His arms are out. He hasn't got the football.
That's tough, isn't it?
He can't dive onto it now, though. They'll just pin you. Zorko comes in, pops it through with ease. Dane Zorko has his second. The Lions 11th. They're up now by 24 points. 11-7-73, plays 7-7-49. 28.5 gone in the third quarter on Grandstand AFL on the text line. Denny in Mildura says, can you please let me know how I can hear the Carlton game tonight? I've been listening to this game, great calling. I'm a die-hard Blue supporter. We must improve soon, surely. So, Denny, if you're not based in WA, which I imagine you aren't at the moment, you can listen on the AFL app. So we have all of our games available with an ABC stream there. And plenty to run through as well. A couple of other texts to come up at three-quarter time. But at the moment, it is the Lions leading by 18 points.
Zorko's second goal, and that margin is out to 24 points now, which is in fact a game high. Brisbane has led all game, and now for the first time is at 24 points.
Adelaide just can't get below that 1 or 2 goals. 2 goals particularly.
Sloan smuggles a hand pass forward. Robinson for Brisbane picks up the ball, gives it to Bailey, shanks his kick. It gets inside 50 just. Murray went to ground under pressure from Danaher. Lions come away through McCarthy, gave it to McInerney. He slipped a hand pass out. Now on the ground fighting on Zorko. Wasn't a kick. It was picked up by Smith. He cleared it away for Adelaide. Back into the centre square, near the centre circles. Again, ball in dispute. Frampton knocks it clear.
In the middle, the Lions, though, through Rich. Sends it back where it came from to the attacking 50. Off a few hands. McStay tries to throw it forward almost. Picked up by Kelly. Hand pass out wide for Smith for the Crows. Nearly run down by Cameron. Got a kick away. Nice mark taken by Scholl, but his hand pass wasn't good. Set up the debutant Pedler to fail. His hand pass was clean. It wasn't from Haitley, though. Zorko cuts it off. Back into the 50. There's a free kick in the contest between McCarthy and Kelly, and this time it'll go the Crows' way in the scoreboard pocket. So Jake Kelly receives it in defensive 50. The Crows down by 24.
Dane Zorko, just his anticipation to be able to read the football, intercepted really clean.
Kelly went short to Scholl. Now Scholl has had his moment and told to play on. Goes long, outside defensive 50. Laird off the pack, took it, gave it to Sloan, the old warrior, and he dives in there. I thought it might have been in the back. The umpire called for the ball. It's at left half back for Adelaide, eastern side of the Adelaide Oval on Grandstand AFL. It's Brisbane by 24 points.
McInerney with the double fist forward into the 50, cut off by Butts, who was met heavily. Got a hand pass away there to Kelly. Clears it to centre wing. Frampton can bring it to ground on the logo. 2-on-2 there. Diving onto it, Frampton managed to push it away from Birchall. Pedler just paddling it to his advantage. He's got a bit of pace against Rich. Tries to gather close inside the boundary line. Berry comes to apply some more pressure. Knocks it out of play, but good effort there from the debutant Luke Pedler. Boundary throwing to come at left half forward for Adelaide.
You could put side by side Pedler and Berry, couldn't you? They almost look like each other, well, same sort of stature.
They do live together.
They are.
There's some insight.
They're cutting each other's hair.
Ball off the ruck contest, went to Schomburg inside 50 for Adelaide. Frampton couldn't mark it under pressure from Payne. Knocked over the line, left forward pocket there for Adelaide, going to that Riverbank stand, end of the ground, closing in on three-quarter time. 11-7-73 Brisbane, Adelaide 7-7-49.
Toss back in, Thilthorpe in the ruck contest against McInerney. The Crow won it down, tries to gather his own ball. Can't do so. Schomburg brings it down in the tackle. Scholl can gather. Sets it up towards the top of the goal square. Frampton's outnumbered. Harris Andrews juggled it. Couldn't pick it up cleanly. Frampton paddles it backwards. Trying to set it up for Berry. 3 Crows came in. Haitley tried to strip it away from Berry and they've made a meal of it. Any of them could have picked it up in gold. It's bouncing around now. 40 from goal. It's knocked out of the 50. Falls towards Hipwood. The Lions now have a bit of pace. Hand pass back wasn't good though to Robertson. Mops it up. Hand pass to Cameron. Tried to paddle it to the boundary line. Not clean. McKay gathers for the Crows. Hand pass to Schomburg. Back to McKay at right half forward. Sets it up where it came from. Top of the goal square. 2-on-2. Thilthorpe can rise. Andrews at the back got a hand to it. Juggled it down. Mark wasn't paid. Wrapped up in the tackle. Ball up to come in the right forward pocket for the Crows.
Well, you have to admire the crowd. They're trying to lift the Crows. There was, I think...
Harris tried to claim the mark.
Well, Andrews might have had a case there. Anyway, ruck contest. McInerney picks it up after stumbling after it and then under pressure, foot to ball, goes out on the full, outside 50. Smith takes the kick quickly, inboard, but not far. Only 10 metres from the boundary line. But just outside the arc of 50 is Schomburg. Schomburg sets it up, 25 from goal. Went low and hard. Ball off hands, then Starcevic's kick was smothered. Haitley trying to release a hand pass, only find Robinson. He sent a torpedo outside defensive 50 and towards the wing for the Lions. And there was a push there by Danaher. And Murray will take the free kick straight away for Adelaide.
Berry's in a bit of strife behind after that smother there. His right lower arm. I'm not quite sure.
Murray, meanwhile, heads down the western wing. Contest at right half forward for the Crows. At the back, Thilthorpe juggles it over the top of McInerney. Beat the ruckman, but runs out of time. Had Frampton leading out, but can't hit him on the stroke of three-quarter time. And as a result, Brisbane take a 24-point lead into the final term. 11-7-73, placed 7-7-49 on Grandstand AFL. The goal scorers heading into the fourth term. Lincoln McCarthy has 3 for the Lions. 2 to Bailey, Zorko and Danaher. Meanwhile, singles to McStay and Cameron. For the Crows, 2 to Seedsman, singles to Walker, who subbed out of the game with a neck injury. McKay, Sloan and Thilthorpe. So at the moment, it is the Lions by 24 points in round 16 action. Coming up next, all of our listeners in WA, you'll be headed to the MCG, Fremantle and Carlton. Everybody else to the Docklands. Hawthorn up against Port Adelaide in Sean Burgoyne's 400th game. We'll get a preview of that very shortly with Corbin Middlemass and read through some of your texts as well. But for now, on ABC Radio, ABC News Radio and ABC Sport Digital, we might just stay at the ground because there's a bit of a melee going on. Just came out of nowhere as the Lions huddled up. A few of the Crows boys got stuck into them. Frampton's in the middle of it. And finally, they'll be separated by the umpires. So nothing too sinister in there, but there's certainly a bit of heat in this contest. And throughout the quarter, it was great to see the 2 hotheads in Dane Zorko and Ned McHenry get stuck into each other. So all clear at the moment.
Well, you have to admire Taylor Walker. He went over there and separated the players and then got a pat on the back from one of the Lions. Thanks, mate. See you later.
Taylor Walker subbed out of the game with a neck injury, but good to see he's out on the park. So both teams have been separated. Let's try this again on ABC Radio, ABC News Radio and ABC Sport Digital. The fourth quarter coming up next on Grandstand AFL.
What matters to you?
Justice, family, weather,
The region?
safety,
What affects you?
climate,
Wilder.
extinction,
Bushfire.
violence, protest, water, over the road,
What inspires you?
sport, results, rescue, goals,
Space.
future, country, laughter.
Stories matter. Trust matters. What matters is you. And what matters to you matters to us. ABC News on your TV, radio, iView or the ABC News app.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
McInerney plays on quickly and heads into the 50 for the Lions. 2-on-2 there. McStay used the body, got rid of Duday with ease and kicks through an open goal.
So Lions now centres up the ball and McCarthy standing 25 from goal by himself. So McCarthy straight out in front and just stabs at the ball and it tries hard to go to the right but stayed inside the goal post.
Bailey comes through though for the Lions. The youngster heads into the 50 for them. A bit short for Hipwood. Bounces over his head. Cameron comes to assist. paddles it to his advantage in the left forward pocket. Somehow spins, kicks towards the top of the goal square. Lyons just wants to see it through, and it bounces favourably. Scholl gets it, hand pass to Haitley, his first touch for the Crows in this game. Heads up to Sloan, who's open on the arc. Marks, runs in, kicks from 45, the skipper. Long bong up towards the 50 in the scoreboard pocket. McCarthy gets front position, beats Chase Jones and takes the chest mark. Certainly a tough angle on the right. McCarthy heads towards home. It starts nice and it finishes great as well.
Ball off hands, comes Adelaide's way. Low forward of the play. Gave it to Schonberg on the right foot. Snap and goal.
O'Brien won the tap down, but straight to Zach Bailey, who ducked and weaved through multiple tacklers, runs into the 50 and kicks it from 40. Zorko comes in, pops it through with ease.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Lions by a game-high 24-point lead heading into the final quarter up against the Adelaide Crows. 11-7-73 plays 7-7-49. Earlier today in round 16 action, the Giants defeated Melbourne by 9 points. Toby Green kicking 3 goals in that contest. Coming up next, our listeners going to part ways. Everyone in WA, you'll be headed to the MCG. Fremantle up against Carlton. Everybody else, Sean Burgoyne's 400th game. Hawthorn up against Port Adelaide at the Docklands. To preview it for us now, Corbin Middlemass can join us on Grandstand AFL. Corby.
Thanks, Aaron. It feels like big-time footy tonight, despite the fact it's Hawthorn at 4-10 up against Port Adelaide, who are 10-4. Obviously, the Hawks better in recent weeks, coming off wins over the sides from New South Wales. But as you touched on, the night is all about Sean Burgoyne. For just the 5th time in VFL-AFL history, a player is going to play their 400th game. So he joins the group of Michael Tuck, Kevin Bartlett, Dustin Fletcher, Brent Harvey, and now Sean Burgoyne. And in some perfect synergy, it is, of course, his old team, Port Adelaide, where he played his first 157 games, including the 2004 Premiership, against obviously his current team in Hawthorn, 243 games now, and of course 3 times a Premiership player with the Hawks. Teams are about to drop any minute, which is always the way. Our cross is right on this time, Aaron, every Saturday night, but teams coming through any minute. What we do know from selection is that Nash and Greaves are in for the Hawks, and Riley Bonner makes his return for Port Adelaide. So the full call tonight, I'll be joined by Andrew Mays, Jess Webster, Brett Delidio and Brendan Goddard for Sean Burgoyne's 400th game.
Thanks, Corby. We'll try and provide some final teams when they do drop through the AFL. Meanwhile, here at the Adelaide Oval, it is the Lions by 24 points over the Adelaide Crows heading into the final quarter. Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross with you alongside Scott Camporelli and Rod Jamieson on the text line. Derek says Duday is the best smother in the game. Bloke smothers the foot instead of the ball. Also on the text line, Grant and Waterloo says congratulations to Sean Silk Burgoyne, especially as a Port Adelaide player. David says sitting by the fire, dog at the feet, beer in hand, listening to a great call. Life couldn't be more grandstand. I love your wording.
There.
That's amazing there from David. And M from Melbourne says, why did Seedsman leave the Pies? He's amazing. He's certainly been good tonight, but it is the Lions with the lead heading into the final quarter by 24 points. Scott Camporelli, Rod Jamieson, quick tips.
It's going to be hard for Adelaide.
Sitting on the fence a bit there. I'll make that as the Lions to win from you both. Pedler gets the clearance in the middle early for the Crows into the 50. Frampton gets rid of his opponent Adams. Can't pick it up cleanly. Thilthorpe overruns it. Adams diving onto the ball, gets a hand pass out for Brisbane. Robinson can clear it out of the 50 to the centre square. Great lead out mark taken from McCarthy, who's on the logo on the western side.
Just quietly, Tom Duday hasn't got lost, but he is at full forward to start the last quarter for Adelaide. McCarthy on centre wing for Brisbane. Goes down the line with his kick and high. And beautiful mark. Well, I thought he'd stop it. He did stop it. Brown at the back. Took the mark. The smallest man in the pack. Dropped it short. Just outside defensive 50 for the Crows. Finds Laird.
The 3-quarter time, Jared Lyons and Dane Zorko, 10 tackles each.
Laird heads up the western side. A contest awaits centre wing. Adams was in front position. Went straight through his hands. Flicked hand pass out from Berry. Ricochets off Keys to Frampton. He threw it almost to Sloan, who kicked it straight into the face of Adams. Ricochets to Rich, though. So the Falcon works favourably for Brisbane. There's a free kick or a mark. Regardless, it's going at Brisbane. Lyons heads down towards Zorko. He has it short of right half forward. Zorko now heading into the 50. Danaher's waiting there. Tries to juggle it over Murray. Nearly brought it down. Falls out towards Smith. A hand pass to the boundary line will be carried over by Paul Seedsman. Boundary throwing to come short of Brisbane's 50 rather. They're up by 24 points. 11-7-73, play 7-7-49.
So the ball comes spiralling back in. Neither ruckman got it. Lions at the back got it and just hand passed it forward in hope for Brisbane. Inside attacking 50. Big tackle made by Hipwood. And Hipwood took Brodie Smith on a journey backwards of about 10 metres. Well, the umpire blew the whistle. Now he throws it in the air. And off the contest, it fell to Zorko. Zorko looking back behind him, finds McCluggage. Another smother. This time it was Keys who got across there, but it comes to McCluggage from Robinson again, and he pops it into the forward pocket. And it was Jared Lyons who led up and took the mark for the Lions. Right forward pocket, so not a good angle really for a right footer.
Backing from there, Crossy. He's a beautiful set shot.
Mitch Robinson and Ben Keys having a chat to each other now. They were the two that actually instigated the little melee at three-quarter time.
Ben Keys, of course, an ex-Brisbane Lion. In comes Jared Lyons across the goal face. Campo's really not on form tonight.
He breaks.
The answer's disappeared.
But he's got a good team around him, Cross, just to get him through, though. Yeah.
So the ball actually ended up right across the goal face and out of bounds.
I think it's because he's been renamed by Wendy this morning on SA Grandstand as Negative Nancy, so the answer's disappeared a bit.
This call as I see it, Aaron.
In the ruck contest, O'Brien got it down, flicked around the body, though. Great kick. The Lions score to start this final quarter, and Hugh McCluggage gets a major on the tightest of angles in the left forward pocket. Brisbane now up to a 5-goal lead, 12-7-79, plays 7-7-49, 3.5 gone in the fourth.
Lockie Scholl just lost his way a little bit there, stretched out, couldn't get the football. McCluggage been involved in a couple of passages of play in this last quarter, just turned on a dime. Great kick.
He's a class player, isn't he? He's just... When Sean Burgoyne retires, in another 5 or 6 years, I think McCluggage is in line to take over that nickname of Silk. He is very good around the ball.
He's 23 and he's 3 games away from his 100th.
So back in the middle.
He's going to have to play till he's 48.
Lions by 30 points. It hasn't been a really fantastic performance, you'd say, by a side that's looking at, a top 2 position, but will be third tonight with the win. Now the contest in the middle of the ground, a secondary ball up. The ball squirts out towards centre wing. Coleman goes across there for Brisbane, overruns it. It allows Scholl and McKay and Smith to combine, and now forward it goes to Keys, and his forward hand pass found Pedler, and then Pedler gave it to Scholl. He approaches 50, sends it long and deep, and good mark defensively. Adams going back, and he just got rid of Frampton and went right back to take the mark.
7 marks tonight, Marcus Adams.
4 contested. Outstanding.
Worth noting as well that Tom Doedee is still at the full forward position for the Crows. Taylor Walker subbed out of the game, but they have options in Frampton and Thilthorpe. Meanwhile, the clearing kick out of the 50 from the Lions is held up. Coleman tried to gather, was dived upon by Riley O'Brien and also Brodie Smith. Ball up to come on that eastern side. The Lions by 30 points. They've been the most informed team in the comp, you'd argue, 9 out of the last 10. McInerney takes it out of the ruck contest, kicks up to left half forward for Brisbane, beats the pack of Danaher and Murray. Murray tries to gather for the Crows, does so and runs away from Danaher. Great pace, sends it back where it came from, literally to Oscar McInerney, who takes it on the chest at centre wing.
Sweeps a hand pass wide towards the boundary where Rich takes it, and he sends it boom inside 50, and again some good work by the Crows defenders. This time McKay, he goes back defensively but across the ground somewhat to the left back pocket. It's taken by Kelly there, and he's able to get it down the line further, still inside defensive 50 to Butts. He looked inboard, couldn't find anybody.
David McKay's had one of his better years too, hasn't he? 240 games.
We talk about ageing players, 32 years of age, heading on 33, and it is a contract year, but he's certainly playing well. Cameron soccers off the deck, off the pack, and hits up Zach Bailey on the chest, 40 from goal. Brisbane are finding answers when there shouldn't be any. Amazing effort from Charlie Cameron under pressure to soccer off the deck. Zach Bailey now going back from 35 out, a chance to go and kick his third of the evening.
That was Euro soccer, wasn't it?
We just see more sides just do that, don't you? Just keep it alive rather than take it, bend down, pick it up, handball or kick. Just get it off, keep it alive, and opportunity.
Zach Bailey comes in, awful kick off the side of the boot. Flat bounces in the goal square. Heavily contested and knocked out of play for a boundary throw, and it had no height, no angle. And thankfully for the Lions, they get another chance.
He kicked it with his knee.
Well, it didn't go very far, and he's still shaking his head at what happened.
He's got a smile on his face.
So ball comes back into play. O'Brien gets around Danaher and knocks it down. It found Seedsman, who gave it to O'Brien by hand and put it on the foot, and fortuitously found Laird about 5 metres away. He gets it outside defensive 50. On the ground off the pack, Rowe went in, couldn't get it for Adelaide. McInerney stands up and then follows up by just kicking the ball off the ground forward. Lyons put out a hand and then secured it, then gave it wide to Bailey. Over the top, McCarthy in the right forward pocket. Stops, props, goes with the left foot and swings it through for a goal. Lovely finish by McCarthy. And in his hometown, he kicks his 4th goal, and the Lions are well and truly on top now. Brisbane's 13-7, 85 plays Adelaide 7-7, 49. The Lions well on top, as I said. The Crows' resistance is gone. And deep into the last quarter now, 8 minutes gone. It's the Lions by 36 points.
Well, it's exactly what you said before, Jamo. A hack kick forward by the big O. Just said, I'll get it out of here. And then Jared Lyons just clean, composure, got it to Zach Bailey, and then he caused the overlap. But, geez, what a year he's having, McCarthy, since he's come across from Geelong. He was great last year. He's got himself injury-free, and he's been outstanding.
4 goals tonight, so 21-8. He's kicked, takes a great mark overhead, but just the clean players too. You saw Rory led Adelaide just clean around the football. And then also Jared Lyons, who continues to win the football a lot for Brisbane. Adelaide now have a free in the middle.
So Sloane receives it. Down by 36, Adelaide. Chips it short to Laird. Runs towards the 50, pops it up, cutting it off. Great attempt there from Archie, who stuck a hand out in front of Frampton from the side. Brisbane with another intercept mark and defensive 50. He'll go short to Matheson. So the Lions, 4 goals either side of three-quarter time now. Just pushing away from the Crows. It's a 6-goal lead. Matheson, the late in for Lachie Neale. Sends it down the line. Front position, Hipwood knocked it down to ground. Butts can gather for the Crows. Hand pass found its way to Laird. Then Kelly just loads up back into the 50. Adams sitting underneath it. Went through his hands. Frampton wanted a free and ran away from the ball, essentially. The Lions had numbers. Zorko kicks it down the line to Hipwood, who'll have it at left half back now inside the boundary line.
The effect of Danaher means Hipwood has played way up the ground this season compared with where he has in the past. Now he goes inboard, bad kick. The Crows able to turn it over. It comes to Schonberg, forward ahead, pass found Rowe off the left foot, centres up, looking for and finding Sloane, or rather no, Haitley it is, who took the mark. So he took it on his chest. And he's about 40 out just to the right, and there's a player down from the Lions behind play, and there are concerns and maybe even a stretcher as we go down to Jack Paqueta on the boundary.
Yeah, it's Starcevic that looks like it's down behind the play, coming in with a big, strong spoil with Sam Berry there.
Yeah, it was just a poor kick, wasn't it? Just to sit under the football. He had to do it, Berry hard at it, and come off second best.
Well, Haitley kicks the ball from just inside the 50, leaves it right, stays right, minus score for Adelaide. Their first score of the final quarter comes after 10 minutes, and it is a behind, and now the umpires have stopped play. I think they have. Yes, they have stopped play, with the trainers for Brisbane concerned about Brandon Starcevic, who remains prostrate out there.
Hit his head on the ground when he's landed flush. The contest was hard, but I don't think Berry got him in any way untoward, but he's up on his feet now and he's walking off.
Well, I thought they signalled for the stretcher, that's why they stopped play, but crowd booing, I don't know about that. They obviously had some concerns about Starcevic. Now he's up to a good trot coming off the ground. The umpires say, right, let's continue. Just a reminder, margin 35 in favour of the Lions.
Not sure why they'd boo when it held up play, so they had a chance to, set up their back line. And now they've got an intercept mark as well. Wasn't taken cleanly at right half forward. Ricochets out, though, for Brown. Kicks it into the scoreboard pocket. Frampton at the back of the pack had a chance. Dropped it again. It has not been a good night for Billy. Duday playing full forward at the moment. Couldn't gather cleanly. Comes out to Lyons. Clears it for Brisbane out of the 50. Unable to take it was Charlie Cameron. Ball held up inside the boundary line. Zorko wraps up his opponent in shoal. Ball up to come. Right half forward for the Crows, down by 35 points. 12 minutes gone in the fourth.
Jared Berry, only 3 possessions. First game back, missed a lot of footy, but they'll be looking forward to him getting back into some form before the finals.
Shoal from the contest, kicks it inside, attacking 50. It was picked up by Archie, gave it to Payne. He tried to give it back to Archie. This is all taking place in the right forward pocket for the Crows. Eventually, Schonberg picked it up and Payne tackled him over the line. We'll get a throw in about 5-10 metres around from the behind post in that right forward pocket for the Crows.
Just think they're scrapping. I mean, it's good to see that they are, but we spoke, pre-game, for me it was around polish and composure. They've shown composure and polish at times, but for not long periods.
McInerney wins the tap down, went to Keys for the Crows. He was tackled by a couple and dropped it. No free kick. Birchall can gather and sky it out of the 50. There's a whistle off the play. It's coming back to the Brisbane Lions. Jared Berry to receive it in defensive 50 in the scoreboard pocket. So Brisbane up by 35, have possession. Time getting away from the Crows now after conceding a run of 4 goals to Brisbane. And chip it short to Daniel Rich in the left back pocket.
It's 2 goals to 1 behind in this last quarter in favour of Brisbane. Rich decides to play on, goes long out on the eastern side of the ground. Offhands it came to Lyons in his 150th game. Down to half forward. Bailey gets around the back and loose, and he was just about to kick. And he was run down by McKay. The veteran will come away for Adelaide off half back, having received the free kick.
Great rebounding kick. Hit up Smith, centre wing on the eastern side. Pops it up towards right half forward. Duday got a hand to it, knocked away from him over the boundary line to be tossed back in. So the injury news from the contest so far, Brandon Starcevic obviously off after being hit from behind by Sam Berry accidentally. Taylor Walker subbed out of the game with a neck injury after colliding with Daniel Rich. Currently it is Brisbane by 35 points. WA listeners, you'll be headed to Fremantle and Carlton next to the MCG. Everyone else, Hawthorn and Port Adelaide at Docklands. Tapped down by McInerney, coming through. Driving tackle from McCluggage will give away a free kick. The Crows to receive it through Keys. Coming up for disposal number 26. He runs around, puts it into the 50. O'Brien gets a rise, but in front position he couldn't crash the pack enough. That should have been a mark to Brisbane. Hasn't been paid. Ball up will come inside their defensive 50. Payne was underneath it. Looked like he brought it to ground, but the reset coming in the scoreboard pocket. O'Brien taps it down. Pedler looks to gather. Shrugs away McCluggage. Gets a hand pass close to the boundary line. Haitley's caught in the tackle. Was it high? Yes. Free kick to the Crows. Tightest of angles. 30 from goal. Jackson Haitley, the medical sub on for Taylor Walker, has another chance from a harder angle to try and reduce the deficit.
I'm not sure it was high.
It wasn't early, I think, and then he's copped his head just a little bit, but he threw his head back. He was probably lucky to actually receive that free. Gee, they're a strong tackling team, aren't they, Brisbane?
Been a difficult year for Jackson Haitley coming from the Giants. Just his 3rd game at the Crows. Kicks from that tight angle, looking to squeeze it in. Too far left. A minor score again for Adelaide. So back-to-back behinds for them. And as a result, it's a 34-point lead to the Brisbane Lions. 13-7-85, 7-9-51. 15 and a half gone in the 4th term.
I've seen 3 players for Adelaide deep in pockets kick the drop punt when everyone out is kicking in front doing the snap. It's unusual.
And yet 2 years ago you would have been saying, what are they kicking the snaps for? So Brisbane's worked at the centre wing. It was short from the kick into Marcus Adams, who went long down the line near the interchange gates. Ball over the line.
I think it was Stevie Johnson, wasn't it, Crossy? It was a few years ago at the MCG versus Collingwood. He just lined up and snapped it over his left shoulder, and everyone said, what the heck are you doing?
Yeah, he started to change things, there's no doubt about that. Got all the Geelong boys interested. Brisbane forcing the ball forward. McCluggage flips it up. Here's Bailey. This time he looked around, made sure there was nobody coming at him, goes to the goal face from 50 and rolls it through. Good finish. Brisbane again from a stoppage, just able to take the ball forward. And Bailey has 3 for the evening. And the Lions with a new game-high margin of 40 points as we close in. We've gone through 16 and a half minutes in the final term.
Well, it was actually a beautiful tap by Riley O'Brien into the corridor to Rory Sloane, but take a bow, Daniel Rich. He was the one there that played that, I guess, drop-off defender just off the stoppage. Great smother, and then followed up with a ground ball win and flicked it forward. He was clean. And then Zach Bailey, once again, just running and breaking through inside 50 and nails it for 3 for the night.
Daniel Rich has been great. 8 contested. He had to win the football, but Robinson, Bailey, 12 and 15 respectfully. Got Marcus Adams with 13 in the contested, but also McInerney Oscar in the ruck. He's done 12 contested, so spreading it. Doesn't matter what size you are.
The Lions by 40. McInerney wins the tap down. O'Brien tries to gather. He's met heavily by a couple of players. Picking it up, Bailey is wrapped up by a couple. Ball up to come, you'd think, in the centre square. Yes. Gives me time to let you know that there's no late changes for both games this evening. So the medical subs for the Hawks, Oliver Hanrahan, Martin Frederick for Port Adelaide. For the Dockers, Mitch Croden and Matthew Cottrell for the Blues. In the centre square, comes out wide to Seedsman, brought down in a tackle. Finds its way to Barry, hand pass back to Pedler, kick was smothered, works well for Robinson for the Lions, who barrels it to the 50, waiting underneath it, Danaher against Murray, brought to ground, McStay and Murray wrestling over the ball, 40 from goal, ball up to come.
How many times has Mitch Robinson got the ball tonight and just barreled a left footer? Rather consistent.
He's improved his efficiency. He's going at 53. He was only going, I think, at 20 or 30 at half-time.
Ball taken out of the ruck by Danaher. He tried to get a boot to the ball. He was taken to ground in a tackle, and the umpire said it was in the back. And not too many people at this ground agreed with the decision, but Danaher will take it 40 out, basically straight in front.
But the rub of the green a little bit. Freeze 17 to 16, so they're reasonably even, but a couple of dubious ones. Campo?
Yes, that was a little unlucky.
Sam Berry, the unfortunate man there at that time. So in comes Danaher, and not
cool.
For the first time, it must be said, he was never it was only ever, I should say, a 50-50 chance, and he has sprayed it, kept it narrow for the Miners' score. So a little bit of justice, would think some people. 41 the margin, though, in favour of the Lions.
Brodie Smith out of the 50 for the Crows. Heads down the line. Phil Thorpe in front position. Takes it against Starcevic, who's back on the ground. Good news for the Lions there. Central kick hits Pedler for the Crows. Bouncing ball off the boot towards Berry. Somehow tapped it out wide towards Seedsman under the pressure from Mitch Robinson. Darts around and uses a shepherd to get open. Runs to the attacking edge of the square. All the way to 55. He's taken a couple of bounces. Into the 50 he goes from 40 on the left. Up into the right forward pocket, comes to ground, curling it around McHenry across the goal face. Marked by Jack Payne in the right back pocket for the Lions. No score to Adelaide, down by 41.
Just the composure to be able to work through tight traffic. The result in the end wasn't ideal.
No, he tried to do too much there. He had goals in his eyes only.
Not that I can't let go of it, but Patrick Cripps would have run through there without bothering to bounce the ball and would have got away with it. So the ball down towards centre wing. Big leap there from Adelaide from Berry, and now it's come to Pedler, and he was running towards half forward. He was tackled, lost possession, picked up by McCarthy down the line. He hand passes near the interchange gates. McCluggage, he sends it across the top to Zorko, quickly to ball to boot down towards the top of the 50. Somehow it fell for Cameron, tries to barrel the ball, and what's the bounce like? Oh, miraculous! That was an absolute mongrel of a kick. He tried to get the torpedo away, and in the end, it just bounced. How did it bounce straight? But it did.
Well, because this is true, Crossy. Because the ground's actually a bit slippery, the ball is generally going to skid straight. Yeah. So even though he didn't hit it properly, it was still going end over end. So normally, if it's a bit drier, perhaps during the day game, it might have grabbed a bit more and gone way or the other. But it actually just sort of skidded forward. But he hasn't had his best night, Charlie, but he's had a couple of half opportunities that he's taken.
So that's a good way for him to get his second goal. Brisbane 15-8, 98. Adelaide 7-9, 51 on Grandstand AFL.
Is Jack down there, 2 on the boundary? I don't know if he actually saw Dane Zorko.
Might have gone home after the effort of the Crows so far. You down there, Jack?
Yeah, I'm down here. I can tell you that Dane Zorko was very ginger getting up from that Ben Keys tackle.
Yeah, just in there. So when he came over and across the boundary line and he's whiplashed his head back and hit his head on the ground, he just took some time to get up.
So the last 6 goals, either side of three-quarter time, going the way of Brisbane. They've pushed out the margin to 47 now, after what was a tight game for 3 terms. Seedsman in the middle has a spin, just gets a hand pass away as Robinson was chasing him down. Keys off the deck to no one in particular. It'll roll to left half forward. Surely it'll be deliberate, and it is. There was no one in his eyesight. Just went for the boundary, Ben Keys.
Ben Keys kicking at 31% tonight, Jono.
It's been a knock on him this entire season.
He's wearing a glove on his left hand. I don't know whether he's covering for an injury of some sort, but he has kicked off the ground a lot.
Birchall down the line to a contest. O'Brien brought it to ground. Kelly gets a hand pass inbound to Haitley. The Crows now up to centre half forward, outnumbered though. Rich up against Starcevic in that contest, made a meal of it. Schomburg front and square, kicks it around the body. Ricochets towards Thilthorpe and Andrews. Andrews wraps up Thilthorpe, tries to keep it in play as the line. Taps it, trying to his advantage. Thilthorpe just sits on the ball, still in the right forward pocket. Tapped away, Rich is pushed away from it. McHenry busts through, trying to get it to Duday, who runs into the right-hand goalpost. He's very ginger after that. And a minor score.
Oh, he's giving him free kick.
Free kick for the push, maybe?
Well, I think you'll find that, was it Adams has pushed him into the post.
Let's have a look on the replay. So Duday tries to gather it, and Adams has given him the double-hand shove right into the goalpost. So the new full forward, Tom Duday.
Is he going to think through this, Tommy?
Has a free kick from the impossible angle, straight line to the right.
I hope he goes a banana.
Here goes Duday, comes around on the left, minor score.
Come on, Tom.
Clearly a backman. Why would you go 30 metres back? That's the thing, isn't it? Like, he could have just stood a couple of metres away from the man on the mark, stepped to the middle of the ground, and then left foot over his right shoulder. Campo.
Agreed.
Needs some goal kicking practice, the backman.
Anyway, the Lions have got it just behind centre wing now, near the interchange gates. The hand pass wide by Zorko, looking for that man McCarthy, and the boos because he missed McCarthy. It went over the line. They said that was insufficient intent and should have been a free kick, but no. Good to know. There are some people just trying to keep warm, I think, jumping up off their seats late in the game with the Crows down by so much, but there's still intent on handing out their thoughts to the umpires. Now it's a free kick for a high tackle. O'Brien on Matheson. It's called play on advantage. Lions inside forward 50. Charlie Cameron up early, pulled it down. Umpire said it's not a mark. And now the crowd wants holding the ball and the umpire says no, and it just goes on and on.
Well, for the letter of the law, he's actually...
that's a mark.
That is a mark. So, one, they've missed it, but he's pulled it in. Adelaide have tackled him.
No Adelaide ruckman in the contest. Danaher takes it out, curls it towards goal, and it was almost fisted over the line by Zorko in a spoiling attempt. I'm not sure what's going on there.
I think it's come off his head as he's dived for the ball. I think that's, again, Euro soccer.
I love that. To the letter of the law, if he's marked it. He marked it.
He's marked it. Well, how's the umpire? He's missed 2.
Toss back in, Thilthorpe in the contest, tapped it down to Laird, clearing kick out of the 50 will roll over the boundary line. Fans, Bronx cheering, no free kick against them. Boundary throw in to come down to Jack Paqueta on the boundary.
Matheson is on his haunches on the Brisbane interchange after a heavy tackle from Riley O'Brien. And in the typical sign of a debutant, Luke Pedler has come off, both hamstrings cramping, second batch of pickle juice for him.
Oh dear, did he get it all down?
He was pretty good.
Off the pack now. It's come to Bailey. He accelerates away from the contest and sprays it to the left from about 45. Minor score for Brisbane. Again, that lead just blows out a little bit more. It's at 47 points. And we've gone through 25 and a half minutes in this final quarter on Grandstand AFL.
The Crows straight down the corridor, turn it over. Archie to Bailey. Now inbound to McStay, and then Robinson lowers the eyes. A flat kick, a bit too high though for Robertson in the end. Comes out wide. Diving and ducking his head into it was Hitwood. He wanted the free, looked straight at the umpire. Butts caught him in the tackle. Surely it's holding the ball. It's a ball up. Hitwood has driven his head in and looked straight at the umpire, brought to ground by Butts and just laid on it. Here's the reset. Inside Brisbane's attacking 50. Off the ruck contest, Haitley tries to gather. He's wrapped up by Robertson. Ball up from 15 out. The crowd is getting very restless. It's the Lions by 47 late stages of the fourth.
Lucky we're not in Tokyo.
Crowd
of the Olympics.
The crowd is capped at 25,000. There's probably only about 17 here, maybe even less. But they're making a lot of noise now as Adelaide clears their defensive area. Archie going back for Brisbane, should gather, and he does. He's about 40 metres from the top of the 50. He goes back inside 50 with his kick. Off hands, McCluggage shakes a couple and then sends it forward. I don't know he had the vision, but he certainly found McStay's chest. That was very good. Just a shake of the hips, released himself and then kicked it forward, Hugh McCluggage. And McStay with the mark. And the crowd's still coming up with some instructions for the umpires.
One of your mates, Joe?
I don't think it's complimentary either, too, is it?
I have it on good word that Crossy's family is in attendance this evening, so I'm not going to rule that out.
You are hanging them out to dry.
That's low. And McStay just wanders in from about 25 metres out and kicks the goal for Brisbane. That will excite my son, who is a Brisbane fan. Not so much my wife, who is an Adelaide fan. And it's Brisbane now 16-9-105. Adelaide 7-10-52. 27 gone. Grandstand AFL. Neil Cross with you. Aaron Bryan's making the stirring comments. Rod Jamieson, Scott Camporelli, your experts.
Well, they've dominated the quarter. 12 inside 50s, Brisbane, for 5 goals too. We said it earlier in the game. You just can't give that many inside 50s before the game will just turn on its head. And it's taken, to be fair, it's taken the last quarter for it to open up, but they've had 25 scoring shots for 60 inside 50s. That's the real concern for Matthew Nicks tonight.
The ability to kick long, 69-54, going at 63%, and in this last quarter alone, 19-7 kick long in favour of Brisbane too. So when you're finding the body, you're covering the distance, it's going to make it hard.
In the middle, McInerney takes it out of the ruck contest, just hits it up towards the 50. Couple of Lions tackle Butts, and one of them was high by Hitwood, who pushes Butts over. 50-metre penalty. The crowd will like that, the few that are left, the 25,000 that are in the house tonight as part of the 50% crowd cap are definitely flooding towards the exits at the moment. But free kick to Butts in the centre square. The Crows down by 53 points. Flat kick, hits up McKay, short of centre half forward, hands it off to the runner Smith from 55. He'll load up towards home. It's a long kick on the goal line. Frampton knocked it back into play and then rushed it over for a minor score on the right-hand side. It hasn't been a good night for Big Billy on return. And it's now a 52-point lead to the Brisbane Lions. 16-9-105 to 7-11-53.
Harry Kipwood's had a quiet night too. It's not that often that he doesn't score.
So it'll be Rich handing on the ball, and he goes into that scoreboard pocket, thinks about his options, decides on the long one, and looks, and in the end, hustled under the ball was the Brisbane ruckman. It went to Thilthorpe, and now Adelaide will go deep again. And it was Socket out there, and now the mark goes to Duday. He received it short from Scholl, and behind play Marcus Adams still on the ground, slow to get up for Brisbane, and it'll be Duday who'll go back, the mystery forward, if you like, for Adelaide in this last quarter. Sent forward, he comes in from 40 metres out, and he's kicked a goal. So Tom Duday with his first of the night, and they congratulate him. It's his first of the season. It's his first score this season. Just checking the record just to see if he has got a goal in his career.
It's his first since around 20 of 2018.
Well done, Aaron.
I've been sitting on that for a long time.
3 years in between goals. And Tom Duday kicks truly. So Brisbane 16-9-105, Adelaide 8-11-59 after 4 behinds. That's their first goal of the final quarter, and it came 30 minutes in.
I think we're going to have a team meeting, Campo.
Why is that, Rod?
You can't just throw your mate under the bus like that.
Oh, yeah, I didn't like that either.
It was assistance.
He's been doing it all night.
I'm still a bit salty after Thursday night's performance from Richmond.
Gold Coast.
They've got to get some vengeance. 46-point lead to the Lions, late stages of the fourth. They'll win their 10th game out of their last 11. Clearance goes the way of the Lions, but it's cut off by Jones at right half-back. Short kick down the line. At centre wing, Scholl will take it. Hand pass forward to Laird. Pops it over the top to Berry. Right half forward now for Adelaide. Central kick. Was a bit short for Pedler, but the mark is paid. The debutant now heading towards his 13th touch. Flat kick into the 50 was looking for McHenry. It sat for him, but Rich spoils it from behind. Birchall now for the Lions. Gets it out. Clearing kick to the centre square to Lions.
Lions wants the hand pass, eventually gets one, and goes forward now to Zorko from Bailey. Zorko wide, so they've moved across to this side of the ground, the broadcast side. Robertson gave it to McStay. McStay from 50 goes all the way to the goal face. Wasn't a good kick. It wasn't a great kick for the small man, Charlie Dixon. Outman 2-1. Butts took it, but meanwhile, Cameron was held back by his opponent.
Charlie Dixon crossing?
Did I say Dixon? I apologise. Charlie Cameron.
Come on, you blokes. Keep it together. We're almost done.
So Cameron pops through the goal. And much to the annoyance of the Crows fans, Cameron has 3 goals now. Brisbane has cracked the ton. 32 and a half minutes gone in the final quarter. Brisbane 17-9-111. Adelaide 8-11-59. Your experts, Rod Jamieson, Scott Camporelli. As we watch the Lions just complete a victory, and that's about all they've done for the night.
There's not a great deal in that too, isn't there, too? Charlie's had a little bit to say. He's turned around and let him have it, but I spoke pre-game. Last week, Adelaide against Carlton, it was 8 goals in the second quarter, 6 in the third. It's 6 to date. We've still, 30 seconds to go in this last. But Brisbane have just been classy all night. Challenged a little bit in maybe the second quarter, but outside of that, been well in control.
So up next for the Lions, they'll play St Kilda. It was supposed to be at the Gabba, but maybe in Victoria now. Meanwhile, for the Crows, they'll play Essendon at the Docklands. That's scheduled to be Friday night at the moment for round 17. In the middle, picked up by Keys for the Crows. Threw it on the boot, straight up and down. Not a lot of distance. Enough to be paid the mark, though, to Devon Robertson. Last week's rising star for the Lions. Or could kick to the western side. Laird from behind can bring it to ground for Adelaide. Coleman comes in to try and rip it out for the Lions. Just thrusts it forward. McKay overruns the ball. McStay comes to pick it up for Brisbane. McKay eventually rips it away for Adelaide. Kick, trying to set it up towards Rowe. Flicks a hand pass out wide. And Brisbane will take the 4 points. Despite all the chaos surrounding the week, the Lions still the leaders of the pack. Their 10th win in 11 games. Brisbane winners by 52.
We are the pride of Brisbane town. We wear maroon, blue and gold. We will always fight for victory, like Fitzroy and Bears of old. All for one and one for all. We will answer to the call. Go Lions, Brisbane Lions.
The Lions led all evening by 9 points at quarter time, 8 at the half, 24 at three-quarter time, and they ran away with it from there. 52 points, the final margin, 17-9-111 to 8-11-59. Lincoln McCarthy had 4 goals for the Lions, 3 to Zach Bailey and Charlie Cameron, 2 to Danaher, singles to McCluggage for Brisbane. Meanwhile, for the Crows, 2 to Seedsman, singles to Thilthorpe, Sloan, Walker, McKay and Duday. Big injury for Taylor Walker with the neck. Meanwhile, for the Lions, they get through unscathed. Their 11th win of the season.
Lions will kick the winning score. You'll hear a mighty roar. You'll hear a mighty roar.
We're with you for the next 2.5 minutes here at the Adelaide Oval before our listeners in WA will depart to the MCG. Fremantle up against Carlton. Everybody else to the Docklands. Hawthorn up against Port Adelaide. No late changes for either of those games. Our listeners in Queensland on News Radio will head back to regular programming. Earlier today, the Giants defeating Melbourne by 9 points. Scott Camporelli, Rod Jamieson, your analysis quickly of that contest.
Yeah, well, Brisbane, they did, I guess, dominate the game to a certain extent, 62 inside 50s to 45. So that was the, I guess, the difference in the game. They just had way more opportunities at the end of the day. You know, to be fair, it was a pretty tight game, contested possession even. What Adelaide did do well was take away Brisbane's uncontested possession, particularly those uncontested marks change, which is probably a worry going into the game. Brisbane were on top from stoppage, plus 12 in there, and they kicked 7 goals, 5 from stoppage from that source. So they dominated through that clearance, but they also, which they do really well, they kicked 10 goals, 4 from turnover. So that was obviously the difference in the game as well. But pretty good all-round performance from Brisbane. Not a superb performance, but they got it done. They had some guys who were probably not at their best today, but they still got it done.
And Jamo, the 3-2-1 in the ABC Footballer of the Year?
Yeah, look, we thought we'd give 3 votes to Marcus Adams. He was outstanding in the back half too. What did he have in the end? He had 8 marks in defence, 4 contested marks too, and 13 contested possessions. And right from the outset was a clear standout in defence. Going to go Zach Bailey. I reckon his game tonight was really impressive. He had 26 disposals in the end. He ended up having 15 contested and 3 goal 1, 9 clearances with that too. But Leaker McCarthy will give him 1 vote also. He ended up with the 4 goals. Reasonably complete game right across. It was through the middle or up forward. So all Brisbane tonight.
Rod Jamieson, Scott Camporelli, thanks as always. Thanks to Jack Paquetta on the boundary. Neil Cross calling alongside me. Simon Rosar-Tech, and to Adam Jones and Tom Cheeseman back in the studio. Listeners, you're headed separate ways. Everyone in WA, it's Fremantle and Carlton coming up next at the MCG. Everybody else, it's Sean Burgoyne's 400th game. Hawthorn up against Port Adelaide at the Docklands next on Grandstand AFL. Thanks for your company here at the Adelaide Oval. The Lions winners by 52.